Howdy, howdy, everybody. Welcome back to Counters Casual Competition. This is a 60th anniversary episode, and we'll be bringing you 6 different mystery casters, one for every 10 years the competition's been running for, possibly. Let's introduce our first of our two, because they're both raring to go. To my immediate right, he is a legend of the UK scene. He has got a face full of dog, and you may be familiar with him from both League of Legends and TFT. It's Greyheart! How you doing, Stan? I mean, Loki. I mean, I can never remember which dog is which.
Woof! It's me! I was here all along with Thor. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I'm very much subscribing to the sort of the childhood monikers of first the worst, so I accept that that is my place as first guest. However, I am very excited to meet second guest as a result.
Alright, well, if you're a long-time viewer of the channel, you'd be very familiar with our second guest, though you may not have seen his face before. You've definitely heard his voice in the pre-game lobbies and seen his work across so many different tournaments, assisting the noodliest of wets. It is the one, the only, the purveyor of the most unique game mode in TFT. It's Mr. Duck. Mr. Duck, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I just want to point out, Quack. He has dogs. I have ducks.
Oh my gosh,
So
you've actually brought props for today. I didn't expect this.
I mean, they just sit on my desk somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty much what my dogs do as well, to be honest.
Yeah, what, just sit on your desk?
All the time. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, but no, it's great to be here, and I get to cast again and praise people for their weird comps, and it's gonna be great.
So just a quick word before we get in. As you see, Scorpion's very excited to see you here, Mr. Duck. As it should all be. Top Hat is putting a vote in for letting the dog cast. I don't know if Stan,
I'll give you that.
Did Thor and Loki, do they bork on command? Could they give us a little bork?
Actually, they're more analysts rather than casters. Let's give it a go. Hey Thor, how do you think things are going to go for Peter today? Rough.
Oh.
Oh yes, and thank you for stuff getting set up. So we're going to have a somewhat technically complex setup today. So Mr. Duck, if you haven't already, please do make sure to mute Parsec, because otherwise it's going to be very loud in your ears. And I think you may have just found that out. I forgot to mention that to you before it started. So Stan and Mr. Duck will be casting the first game. We'll be having 2 more mystery casters in for game 2, and then 2 more mystery casters after that for game number 3. Hopefully everybody shows up. It's a lot of logistics to try and get this one working. Oh, Mr. Duck's volume is still too low for the stream. Let me see if I can bump it up a little bit more. So, a quick reminder of how...
Sorry, I can't hear anything.
Oh no, did you...
I think they can't hear over whatever's going on Parsec. They might need to mute Parsec on the sound mixer tab.
Yes. I'm just going to say, use volume mixer to mute Parsec. I'm just going to drop the music for a second, because I think that might help. Set up communication boundaries. Whoa, Mr. Duck, can you hear us?
Oh yes, thank you. Oh god.
So you need to use the volume mix, which is the little. If you right click on the little volume icon in the bottom right hand corner, and then you can go in there.
I couldn't find it because
it's true. Panic
it's on the
stations
right
for
side.
everyone.
There we go. Sorry about that.
That's right. All right, I'm just gonna burn the music back on again. So a reminder about how things are going to be working here today, which is that we are going to be having the regular prizes, which will be first and second place getting RP prizes, and 2 random players getting RP. There's also a prize for whoever makes the best clip from the stream. I realized last time around this wasn't clear, but this is from the stream itself with the commentary for promotional purposes for future events. Not streams, not clips of your own gameplay. As entertaining as they were last time around, I can't really use those for promotion stuff. And of course, from the people who provide the stream, one will be randomly awarded an RP prize as well. On top of these normal prizes, because it's an anniversary tournament, there'll be a 3rd place prize of RP as well, and 2 more random players will get RP drops. So there'll be a lot of prizes to do at the end. Fortunately for you guys, You won't have to deal with that because that's going to be a lot of spinning of the wheels. But with that out of the way, because you're both only here for this first game, I kind of wanted to, on the eve of moving into the next half set, I know that your minds are probably on the PBE and on the, on all of the new stuff coming down the pipe. Do you have any thoughts left about where we are competitively in the current patch to share with us before we get started today?
I sort of have to be honest, because I've got the joy of Super Brawl tomorrow, so it would be very negligent of me not to be interested in terms of what's going on with the current patch. Been trying to keep my hand in. I'm sort of, as some people have maybe seen TFT casts I've done before will know, I'm the self-proclaimed clown prince of Hyperroll, and I've been trying to branch out, play a little bit more in terms of just regular games to keep things going. And it just feels like, yeah, we've had some nerfs to Bastion this patch, but they're still very, very dominant in terms of the front line, in terms of what that's going to do. I think we're still going to see plenty of that. I'm enjoying the spot that things like Lister are in. I'm still think Void is just a nice, easy go-to, as long as you're not going to get a heavy contest if you want to get a nice, comfortable top 4, which is often enough in a lot of the tournaments that we cast. But the reality is it's still a meta where you can go and just get early 7, etc., and pick up nice 4-cost units and run all the way to the finish line with those. So, in a way, some things haven't changed, but it's nice to see small little tweaks coming in on this patch.
How about you, Mr. Duck?
With what he said with the Bastion, I look at that and I go, yeah, normal Bastion. You got the Bastion of Helios, which is still pretty prominent in my ranked games, which is pain. I don't like it. It's annoying, but as I said earlier here with the Ragebade nerfs that came in a couple patches ago, I'm very interested to see if people are going to go for more Meiji comps, the Aries, the Luxes, before the Lux goes for the mid set, which would be a shame because Demacia worked really well with her, so it's going to shame that she's going to go and introduce the new Demacias. But I'm interested to see if we get a nice vertical full-on elite Demacia comp, or if we're just going to stick with the normal, just safe attack speed AD comps and just go from there.
Yeah, I'm particularly fascinated being that, this is going to be our last half set, I think, presumably ever, of TFT, so things are getting a relatively light touch. I mean, we've had quite a tumultuous journey through the set with several, weeks kind of being absorbed by really, really, overpowered things which were meta defining. So I certainly don't mind spending a little bit more time with the set in a moderately unchanged state now that we've gotten to a happy medium.
Yeah, and I think that's basically what we're just going to get to do for a little bit, and in the concluding tournaments of this half set, and let's enjoy it while we've got it as it is, and then all moan about things like Frozen Heart being gone and not being able to reduce attack speed going forward, I guess.
Yeah.
So before we get started, and we're just waiting on our lobbies to get put together, I think, yes, we're going to go in for table 3, I believe, which is just getting set up at the moment. So Stan, I do believe that you've got a giveaway going at the moment that you wanted people to know about.
I do, and I'm not big on the old self-promotion, generally speaking, but in this particular instance, it comes hand in hand with me being able to give someone else something. Over on my Twitter at the minute, which you can see my handle just below me there, courtesy of Fantastic Counterfeit. And yeah, basically, Insomnia 71 coming up at the NEC in Birmingham, UK. It's if you haven't been to Insomnia before, it's a great show. If you have been, you should go again because they're great. I'm going to be working over on the esports stage there, and the great folks over there have kind of given me a pair of tickets to give away to one lucky winner. And my way of doing that is I popped a tweet out this morning, my most recent tweet, and yeah, go and like that and be following me, and then I'll draw a winner at random. And by I mean the dogs almost certainly will do it, and that'll happen tomorrow evening at some point. Never know, could get a pair of weekend tickets to Insomnia. So I'd love more. Obviously, always great to have the interaction on Twitter, but really, it's just an opportunity to go and win something.
Mr. Doug, have you ever had a chance to go to any LAN events in the UK or elsewhere?
No, sadly not. I do want to go.
This could be your chance. Go and like my tweet.
The link is in the chat right now, gentlemen.
Maybe I'll win and I'll see you there.
That's a promise. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
All right, we are getting. I think it looks like the lobbies are pretty much ready to go. They are scheduled to start pretty much now. So, I suppose just a few more words about kind of where we are at the moment before we head in. So, Mr. Doc, you mentioned not a big fan of Aphelios and Bastion. Did get some love taps in the patch, but still definitely seems to be there. I know, of course, as you mentioned before, that you are the purveyor of duck mode, though I haven't seen necessarily too much of that recently. Are there any compositions that you are hoping our players might bust out that are firmly outside of the normal way of playing?
Oh, thank you for asking. Last tournament, you might have not spectated me when I did it, but I did Double Trouble Riftwalker Cassidy. And oh, it was a blast. It was fun. I'm hoping to see just any out of the way wacky Double Trouble comps. And
Go on. Where did you come with that game?
second.
Oh wow, okay, fair enough. That was
Yeah.
not the
Yeah,
best I was
that's really
expecting,
good.
to be fair.
I did really good that game. It was really fun, and I think Double Trouble might be the best wacky thing in this set with the
Completely
ornaments,
with you.
So I feel like hopefully we get that. Maybe that horde, and maybe they don't have that
Binary.
binary airdrop. Yeah.
I think we'll give context to that one. There's a great fresh post on Reddit I'll send into these ones earlier on, which is basically a chap who's like, may have messed up and they've gone for endless horde, allowing you only one item per unit and binary airdrop. When you're going to have a double prismatic game for one of those prismatics not to work in any way, shape, or form is somewhat comical. I think they still managed to finish like 5th in that game, so God knows what the rest of the lobby was doing.
Yeah, and anything wacky, Double Trouble I'm hoping for.
Can I ask? I mean, I'm not quite as familiar. I haven't been around these competitions.
Yeah.
I mean, I was around a lot in the sort of the early, probably the first 15 or so of these you did, but the last 3/4 of them, I think, has generally clashed with a lot of work I do counterfeit. I've got to ask Mr. Duck Mode. Tell me about it.
Oh God. So a duck mode is hell basically. But, no matter what. So the highest champion you see in your shop, let's say, is a free cost, right?
Okay.
You buy them, you can only play free costs. But the moment you see a 4 cost in your shop, you sell your entire board and put in that 4 cost. And now you're playing 4 costs. And that's the entire sense of it. And it's fun to play. It's
You know
really
While Stan like reels for a second in that
No.
glorious reality,
I love
let's
it.
get into game one.
Great.
So I'm hoping we can maybe pick up another point of view as we go, but for now we have got Noku, and we've got Hydropat in for this one. So Hydropat, excited to see Mr. Duck on cast for only the 2nd time ever. Yes, Hydropat, it is your stream. I've got Immortal Bastion, the Hall of the Nine, and Shifting Sands. It will be Hall of the Nine to start us off here today.
Nice. I just want to say, just to finish off Duck Mode, I am 100% playing a game after this one. Screw it, I'm playing ranked and I'm playing that. Like, we're doing it. That's happening.
It's great fun. My only goal when I play it by myself is get 7th, get 7th, get 7th. And a couple times I got 7th, and I think the best I've done was like a 5th, and I was really happy when I got that. But
I respect it.
it's really fun. It's really simple. There's some like extra like bonus rules with the carousel not counting to like take away.
Okay.
The carousel is just a free pick. But
Yes,
other than that, it's really
there
fun.
have been lobbies where I think like half the players in the lobby were playing Duck Mode rules, and the other half weren't. So, and that's the closest I've seen to an actual Duck Mode game taking place. But oh boy! All right, let's focus up, general viewers, because unfortunately, sadly, to our disgrace, this is not a Duck Mode game. But maybe one day we'll have custom games implemented. So let's take a look at what they've got going on. So Hall of Nine coming in. We know that's going to be some extra stuff coming in for everybody, but it's going to be randomized for a fairly wide pool of different things. So we don't know exactly what this game's going to look like.
We don't, but as you can see, Hydropat already going with the early embrace of getting plenty of gold. We've got that top left corner, Renekton, and just going to be able to get themselves to a pretty nice place by the time we get to Carousel.
Something I would like to point out what I realized before we swapped to that screen. The other person has a Vi, Jace, and Orianna. So that's an early Piltover start.
Woo! No kidding. Before stage 2 even. That's absolutely
I'm
wild.
pretty sure I saw the pretty full Piltover start, but something else that I normally like doing here is I always like putting Cho'Gath in, just for the stacks. I didn't see that, so out of these two people, we have no early void.
Yeah,
No.
we had the opportunity to go for Void Crown, but immediately neglected because we've got the triple Piltover there already, and
Yeah.
it's interesting to see something like, I think it was Social Distancing we saw being re-rolled there, and it's such a strong one. It says that actually the opportunity to go for these double tomes, get even more Piltover out potentially. This could easily be the 6 Piltover game.
It's interesting. Yeah, so the Ancient Archives being picked up at the top here for Noku, which presumably, we've only got 5 on the field right now, so maybe a much longer term investment once that Piltover pays off. On the bottom side for Hydro Pat, it's another long-term investment as well, the pumping out, which will eventually turn into something very strong, but it doesn't give you the most immediate power.
We might be seeing a Garen comp with Hydro Pat, which is, fine. Fair enough. It's been played a lot with Yi, so it makes sense.
We do here see opposition coming in for Hydro Pat, also going for the double tome of traits, in comparison to what we saw over on the other side, holding those tome of traits, not even picking them up to go onto the bench just yet. Here they've been slammed straight away, straight into Bastion, straight into Shadow Isles.
Yeah, that is a crazy combination right from the beginning. It's almost like throwing out the training dummy and getting some good rolls there. So from Simp Destroyer, definitely going to have a solid game here. Well, I think, for Noku and for Hydro Pat are 2 point of view players. They're both at the bottom, and I suspect they're going to be staying there for a while.
Yes. What I'm interested in is if continues like this, Noku, is he gonna win any of these early rounds with that early Piltover, or is he gonna lose streak the entire way? Is his streak gonna get broken, or is he gonna be comfortable with where he is, with how weak he is, or is someone gonna grief him and make him be in that tough decision and place?
Well, Anonymous didn't level up there, so you're right. This isn't a guaranteed loss streak situation for Noku at all. We might start seeing some of that opposition you can do with Piltover just to weaken your board that little bit more to make sure that loss streak stays in place.
It's still going pretty horrendously in terms of, if you were actually trying to pick up a win, this is as close to winting as you're going to be able to get at this point, and as a result, we are going to see that loss streak continue, certainly for now, even if that doesn't change if they come up against the other player who we are following. But I guess that's one that I would still expect to pretty heavily go in favour of the Jinx Renekton. That Jinx already ramping up with pumping up. The problem, of course, you're going to get early on is the fact that the units that you want to get that attack speed onto with this sort of S-tier augment, you're not going to be seeing them anytime soon. So being able to get out to Carousel first, get those units earlier, definitely going to be given a helping hand.
Exactly.
Looking at a little bit on Noku's board, we've noticed before we've got these 2 Toma traits which are not being popped yet and suspect may not be popped for quite a while. We've also got the On Anvil coming there as well, which is also not being popped. So there's an enormous amount of potential for Noku to turn the corner very quickly on the composition once that Piltover cash out comes in.
Meanwhile, getting onto the carousel, the options that are there, I suppose potentially the tastiest one could be the Callista if you're looking for something that you were going to pump up, but Noku ignoring that one and actually seeing what they wanted taken away as someone was out onto the carousel a little bit earlier than them.
Looking at the HP bars on the right hand side, we can see that we've had several players who are trying to more aggressively move into the loss streak direction. We've got the people who have got the opposite happening. Lovely and Tenzingu, Simp Destroyer, all undefeated so far. We get a little glimpse at what's going on at the top of the table. We've got double Zorn emblems on one composition as well. That's pretty scary.
Yeah, I think that might be leading into the Jarvan if they get the exploding one. So we might see an exploding Jarvan Zorn, which is really fun to see. It's just great when it works. But maybe they won't get the Zorn augment for it, or not.
I know both of you are fans of the of attack speed based compositions. It looks like we've got one on the card here from Hydro Pat.
And it's the way it has to be when you're going to be playing pumping up, and at the moment it certainly looks like the Callista could well be the main focus of this. You've got the opportunity there to build Static as well. Static fallen off in terms of its value towards the Callista recently, and a lot of people either opting towards the double Rage Blade that Mr. Duck was talking about earlier on, or more commonly in my experience, just knocking out a little bit of extra crit in terms of what they can do as well with the healing. But I'm still fascinated to see exactly what our main carry is going to be in this composition, whether they opt into the Challenger just to amp up the attack speed even more, because much as with things like 8 Challenger, you get to a point where attack speed just isn't enough. You also need to be putting out the DPS as well.
Hydropat's telling us in the chat he actually had the option to go for a Callista double up game, which is something we were specifically talking about before we started. So that's a real shame, Hydro. But I mean, you've got a fun enough board already.
Absolutely.
I think a quick look across the Noku. I think this board seems like it's pretty much going to stay the same for a while. So we'll keep most of our attention over at Hydro.
I'd actually, I mean, Mr. Duck, would you be able to keep us going a little bit with some of the chat we had pre-broadcast, where we were talking about the value of double Rage Blade and of course the changes on Rage Blade in the last couple of patches?
Alright, so with the double Rage Blade, it's just normally as good as it is. Just because of the Rage Blade nerf, Rage Blade's still good if you want to go. Let's say Callista, you just want that maybe Archangels and Dual Gauntlet. It's fine. It's good enough attack speed, but if you want something that is high vamping, high quick attack speed of Phelios, Double Rage Blade is not as good for it because of instead of it being the 10%, it's now 8%, which is as time. That's going to stack up, and it's going to be overall just worse. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's still going to be played.
Strat's getting leaked live on the stream. Do you want to catch up on some of the stream stuff? Thank you for following Radvan and Fabricio, and I think more recently, W39. Welcome to the stream if you're coming to it for the first time. This is the first round of the casual competition. Here with Greyheart and Mr. Duck for this one. We're following Hydropat and Noku. So, there's been a few things that have developed while we were talking. So Noku forgot to put in Piltover for the last round, so it's a little further back than perhaps he should be. But it's actually going to start cashing in those tomes of traits now that have been sitting on bench for a while.
This isn't going brilliantly so far. Didn't happen. 3 tomes of traits and didn't get a single Piltover option.
It's so risky to go for those tome of traits. You don't have the 8 traits in your lineup on the left hand side because it's so much of a gamble. But you would have thought with 3 of them, surely you're going to hit at least 1 Piltover.
I'm guessing that was the logic, and it kind of brings me on to the next question I had, and Counterfeit may be one for you to go over. When do you consider to be the optimal point to start cashing out on T-Hex?
Well, I mean, they've nerfed it recently, but 3-5-3-6 is a traditional way before people will start spending their money on the normal leveling pattern, but Noku having dropped around on the way there, it's going to be a little bit slower out of the gate, so I worry for Noku longer term.
I do as well. What's the biggest cash out you've ever seen, Mr. Duck?
Oh, something I did. I had a 120. That's the best I had.
Wow.
Before the nerfs that made it really bad.
What did you get off that cash out?
It was just a bunch of gold.
Oh, okay. That's kind of disappointing in a way, but also it's still great.
It was fine. It was during a double up game, and the other person hit 3-star Scion, so I still lost.
Peter, can we turn our attention briefly to what's going down at the bottom of our screen here, because it was being hovered over. It was a really important pickup. We've got the opportunity to get those shim scale items, and it is going to be I get the name wrong. Is it Gambler's Tooth?
Gambler's Blade, even more straightforward than that.
That's what I was trying to say. But
Hydro was really thinking about whether or not to take the Mogul's Mail instead for quite a while. But I mean, this has got the best potential return. You can effectively end up with almost unlimited amounts of money with the Challenger, the Gambler's Blade. The only problem is by taking a backline item, Hydropat's running into the other problem, which is that his front line isn't good enough right now to give Callista time enough to work.
It's proving to be a real issue at the minute, and the fact they haven't been able to 2-star Callista is really paining as well. There is obviously the chance in terms of what we're looking at later, as some of you may have seen little spoilers from chat from Hydro earlier on, in terms of different changes to units coming in, but the fact that we've now gone for the Gambler's Blade is just going to make the actual potential for this team just sailed through the roof, basically.
I do want to just jump in a second to say thank you for Deadly Ghost for the subscription, and for the follow from Tommy Two Sonks. So just to take stock of where we are with primarily we're paying most attention to our PoE players who provided streams for us today. So Noku, currently on 64, has now cashed out and moved away from Piltover, possibly out of sheer embarrassment. And Hydropat, down on 60 HP, not too far away from Noku.
I think that Noku has had a little bit of a disaster there in terms of the emblems that we saw, and have just had to straight pivot out of it as a result. And I guess it just remains to be seen what they're going to be able to do, if the fact they've dropped all of that health in trying to build up T-Hex is going to come back to bite them or not. But the fact they've got enough people playing in this lobby that have gone weak early actually means they've kind of got away with it. And as a result, we've now just got 2 people running away with the health point lead at the top of the table.
Lovely is still able to keep up that win streak. Simp Destroyer must have taken the 1 loss, presumably maybe even against Lovely, who keeps the streak up. And thank you very much, Hydropat, for keeping an eye out. So it's Challenger right up at the top there. That is the undefeated composition. We've seen a lot of comps coming in with the, with the Aurelion Soul being picked up. People are locking themselves into their line of play, but Challenger, so far undefeated.
Who's really surprised? Challenger's really good. You got the Callista, you got the Kai'Sa, the Yasuos in those comps. They've been a staple throughout this entire set, so I'm not surprised that they're doing really good. Bless you.
Oh, that's the most wholesome thing I think I've ever heard on cast.
I don't think I've ever heard someone do that either. No. Well, let's catch up with Noku and see what they're up to right now, because we.
Also, I have to. Peter, was that you who sneezed?
No, it wasn't.
There was one of the dogs. That's even more amazing.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh!
I just had to sneeze.
Oh my god, that was Loki.
Sneezy dog cam.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Right, where were we?
Sorry, I'm not going to be able to move on from that anytime soon.
Hydro, thank you. It's very generous. I'd say while you remain in the lobby, please, Hydro, focus on your own game rather than providing camera work for us. It's very kind of you, but I don't want you to be not looking at your own board when you should be trying to plan out what you're doing. So we still got Lovely winning. Simp Destroyer has picked up a win streak again. And we can see from XF and from Anonymous 1, particularly in the case of Anonymous, some pretty heavy damage is being thrown down to the rest of the table.
They're basically just putting out a marker and saying, this is what you're going to have to beat. And it's going to be really, really interesting as we get later and later on to if there are enough comps who are actually going to have the damage to, well, not so much the damage, but actually the tanky frontline to be able to put up with it.
We actually get to see what Anonymous 1 is doing there, which is a Demacia board, which looks like it's just got it's just about to get a dedication coming in, and there's a Toma traits there as well. So Anonymous 1 could turn the corner, but I think we've got players like our 2 PoV players who are putting in a lot of effort to push their power right now. See,
Yeah.
XF going down
what
to
I've
38.
been realizing. Sorry. What I've been realizing as we go around, Noku as Hydropat for me is just gone. Noku's gone for the Aphelios.
Exactly.
I've seen a Gwen around already. So there's some forecast being picked up early and for being a staple. The Noku's just got a second one, 2 Jarvans as well. He's got a really good front line now with he's got the Cassante. I did see that in a couple earlier round, which is a really good tank with great tank items. He's in a safe place where he doesn't need to worry about his HP. He just needs to hit, and it's clear to see that he's been hitting.
Oh, all right, Gunnar Aphelios. That's a new one to me, but potentially could work pretty well. As you said, the Cassante frontline fully itemized. They're not 2 stars yet. Still, to have that at level 7 is pretty crazy.
They're in a really good spot, and I think we saw the chat coming in there from Hydro, who's just like, Noku, please, you've basically just you've stolen a page from my book here, and unfortunately has just got there quicker to be able to get the units that I'm sure Hydro was going to be hoping for and trying to get the best out of. That's going to be very, very difficult while it's contested now, and it might actually force Hydro to just stick with the Challenger. I'm not too sure if they pivoted out of that Callista just yet or not. I think they've already swapped over to the Aphelios. There it is. As you can see with those 2 items equipped, and unfortunately, it's going to be that much harder for both of these to get to a 2-star, especially for Hydro, who's only got the 1 at the moment.
Yeah.
So Hydro Pat picking up
Oh,
the
he
gotta
is
go fast.
Full roll down as well.
Oh wow. Okay, so this is pretty much what we've got for the rest of the game. So Freljord 4 coming in, it's going to be pretty darn solid. We've got the Sejuani front line to buy a lot of time, but no 2-star Aphelios as of yet, and a lot of unslammed items on the bench.
Feels a little bit like Hydro sort of accepting their fate after that roll down. They're very much thinking that things haven't gone the way they were hoping them to. I think very aware of the stream going on, and that we've got the full view of it, and yeah, they know they've not quite managed to hit the nuts in poker's terms.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I don't think he hit any 2-star forecast.
So it's so painful. I loathe instant kill units. I hated Lee Sin in the previous set. I hate Cassante in this set as well. It just feels so powerless if you don't have the right positioning. Let me see. There we go. Hydro Pat is on the same train of being not a big fan when you've got one big tank of having the one big tank killer in your face.
And this isn't even like a tier-based item, Cassandra, either. This isn't even the one where it's going to be getting the casts off as regularly as would maybe be so exceptionally irritating. But it's already just what you would probably call the standard perfect tank items, the double up of chains and Negatrons and, of course, giant belts. And it just means that you're going to be taking so little damage. You're going to be getting multiple casts off, and Kassan's just casually walking to the back line at the moment. Where Kassan will struggle a little bit is against the likes of Lovely's Challenger, still unbeaten composition, where it's not going to be able to get onto that Kalista easily, and Kalista will eventually be able to rend the Kassan and just remove it from the game. The question is, will it have the damage to get onto this back line to be able to take down the dead Eye Aphelios that we have? So the Gunner Aphelios, which we've been seeing doing such good work. The front line dies faster for Noku. As a result, Lovely continues that win streak.
I do think Noku's still got places to go here. It's on a decent amount of HP, unlike XF, who's on 1 HP right now. I think Noku's got the long-term plan coming in, as we've got ourselves a very spatula-heavy carousel.
Was I right in saying that XF was on Last Stand as well?
I didn't spot, but it's a fair guess on 1 HP.
Something with here, if Lovely gets a spat, I'm pretty sure he's guaranteed the 8 Challenger. Because I think he already has a Challenger spat. So that could be dangerous if he gets it. I don't know if he got it though.
I think it's quite likely, because a lot of our players already committed in pretty hard to their lines of play, and a lot of them didn't have the chance to even incorporate spatulas. Noku goes up to 8 though, has the Heimerdinger straight away to help complement the Freljord shred. Hydro Rat is confirming for us, XF does not have Last Stand, they have just managed to luck into 1 HP.
Yeah, it was a cybernetic rather than a Last Stand heart that I was seeing, and that means there's no extra boost for being this low. It means that if you've got this low in the first place, you're probably going to struggle to push back into things. We've now got 3 players who are 15 health or lower, all right at death's door, as we are able to see Hydro Pat going up against one of them in terms of forecast. This is very much, feels like a bit of a battle for 6th and 7th right now, and this feels like the attack speed going pretty well for the Aphelios. Bottom left corner, striking away, doing a little bit more damage than the Dead up top, but one big Sand Soldier shift from Azir is enough to see Hydro Pat losing out.
Oh boy, as you said, XF goes out as our first elimination. You call it right, from 4th place all the way down to 7th. We've got 1 or 2 lives left between the two of them. I think for Hydro Pat, as he will find another Aphelios, he's desperately looking to start that up, or will quite likely have the same problem happen again of getting eliminated, the Aphelios getting eliminated by incidental damage.
It's an unfortunate one to be sure, but what's essentially happened here is that our 2 featured players, the streams that we're able to capture Counterfeit, have essentially just neutered each other a little bit in this fight with the Aphelios. The 2-star Aphelios has now been hit for Noku, meaning it's even less likely for Hydro Pat to be able to pick it up. The gold situation has been far worse for Hydro than they would have wanted, which is just disastrous when you look at the sort of items that they're running with as well.
Oh boy, Hydro Pat, Bamoni in chat should have taken Mogul's mail. These are the parts with... I suppose the real big thing I've had for Hydro Pat here is that the Aphelios just has a massive amount of attack speed and no attack damage. to go along with it to make the most of it, which will send Hydropat, I think, out in 7th place. Anonymous gets to 6th place because Anonymous goes out on the same HP, the tiebreaker, meaning that's one more tournament point for Hydropat.
That's something. It's been a rough ride. Noku, of course, still surviving our other featured stream. They've actually pushed themselves up into 3rd after a weak start and now looking pretty good, Mr. Duck.
Yeah, you know, they hit right before the Hydro could, and they just stole the units, got the good units, and just happened to be a smooth riding from that early cash out from the Piltover, which, you know, makes sense. And it's just unlucky for Hydro.
It always feels like it's a gamble, as popular as the Phelios is, like as you said, Stan, like, because so many people wanting to include him as part of their composition, that if you can find some way to, you know, maybe go by way of Zeri or somewhere similar where you can use similar items, then it's a lot less of a gamble.
It is, and I'm glad you're saying the word gamble there, because I was just about to say how it feels like Noku's been the perfect example of the old Kenny Rogers song, The Gambler, where, you know, you got to know when to hold them, when to fold them. And they had that start we saw with the Tome traits where they weren't able to pick up Piltover, but actually it seems like it's been a blessing in disguise. As Duck said, they got the early payout from that. They've transitioned brilliantly and really put themselves into a position of power as we get to what's going to be a Final Four very soon. They have a chance now to potentially even eliminate another of their contestants, and they are able to get onto that backline, onto the Azir, eventually onto Akshan as well. Forecast goes down to just single-digit HP.
So we've only had one elimination as of that round. We have our top 5, Tazingu and TV Forecast still holding on a single life. But you look above them, you can see players like Noku, who Stan was just praising there, you know, picking up the 2-star Sejuanis while still having an absolute ton of HP in the bank, and a chance very soon to grab hold of perhaps even a 2-star Heimerdinger.
Whew.
I just want to point out, Lovely just lost his first round and he's down to 85 HP. Which is a shame. No Mr. 100 for this game.
No Mr. 100, and a big hit as well. To take a 15 HP loss means that's not a narrow loss. That's a considerable number of units that have just beaten them out. It means that the likes of Simp Destroyer, who's just beaten them, are still in a decently strong place. Actually going to be looking good going forward. Forecast, on the other hand, not in quite such a good place. This is Lovely here. We can see they still have a huge amount of strength, but not enough to deal with the Azir of Forecast, who stays alive. Tazingu stays alive. Noku now the one who's, I believe, fighting up against a ghost and just trying to keep themselves intact. They're on win streak.
What's troubling here for Lovely is that we got to glance at the board and we've seen that they've lost now against 2 different players. And from what I spotted, they don't have any gold left in the bank either. So if people in the lobby are generally catching up with Lovely and overtaking, Lovely may not have the chance to pull back and get a first place after such a strong early start.
Tazingu here with the 6 Zorn. Really like to see it, that extra boost to the 2 upgrades. And when you see that one is on that Zorn emblem onto the Shen, who is going to be amping up so much tankier, and you've got the Zeri splitting flames as well. It's going to be tough for anyone to beat this. Tazingu is going up against a ghost in this particular fight, and looks like we're getting a real good job done by our spectator here, which we very much appreciate.
Yes, thank you, Hydra. It's very, very appreciated. Something I do want to point out is that Callista, no Rage Blade on the Shadow Isles comp. It's just pure damage with the Collector.
Ooh.
And seem to be doing great with the Gwen, which is fair enough.
Simp Destroyer's not on a win streak, but certainly winning hard. Enough for Forecast to finally bow out that Azir, that Shurima composition, not quite enough to take them into a top 4. We're left with that Final 4 counterfeit.
I'm really gutted, honestly. I'm a huge fan of Shadow Isles 6 as a composition, so for Forecast to go in 5th there is very painful indeed, but at least it is showing where we are with this lobby. Things are continuing to heat up. You know, Lovely has been dropping HP. Simp Destroyer as well has got to deal with some pretty fierce competition. I generally don't think we've... Even looking at the HP, you think, okay, we've got a guaranteed top 3. I don't know if that actually is the case.
I completely agree, because Tazingu has defied the odds to hang on for so long at this point and continue to get wins that it feels like a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors game of who faces who. I feel like there's a comp out there that can beat Tazingu and put them out of the equation, but I also feel like Tazingu is beating the other 2. It all depends on a little bit of a lottery of who they face when.
See if we can. We can find Tazingu. So with the challenger board to challenge Lovely, who, as you mentioned before, Mr. Duck, has managed to bring in multiple challenger emblems. On paper, certainly, Tazingu should not have a chance here, but the front line is very good indeed. That time of winter doing a lot of work from either side, but we're left with a couple of units left standing, and it's going to be down to the last shot.
Shen versus Kai'Sa. The final burst of damage coming out of the Rabadon's Kai'Sa is enough to Zingu down to 2 HP.
It's very, very good for Lovely, because with him going down in that loss streak, any HP he can save might guarantee him maybe a second. So very, very good for him winning that.
So Noku and Tazingu, we're kind of waiting to see if they will play against each other. It should be soon. So from Noku's side of things, I believe we had another upgrade coming through. Got some stray emblems around the place, but the front line is looking very good indeed. Most of the damage, though, is still coming from Aphelios.
It is, but we did get to that 2-star Heimerdinger you were talking about. If we're able to get a bit of extra itemization towards that Heimer, could be even stronger going forward. Popping that single needless large rod onto the Shen rather than onto the Heimer, a sign of the fact that they want to put completed items onto the Heimer as soon as possible. Question is, will they get that opportunity? Tazingu trying to make life very, very difficult, but this could be the end for Tazingu. Can Heimer do the work? No, they can't. Noku takes a shot to the heart, and Tazingu's to blame.
Still alive, which is good, so he could still maybe tie out the third, maybe even live just a bit longer before Tazingu goes down. So it's still very close, but very good for Tazingu to win that round.
A brief respite as we do get to the dragon. So spoils of war will be coming through. Potential itemization coming in for the Heimerdinger here.
So we've got a chance to kind of evaluate where we are. So Hydrabat keeping an eye out on Lovely here, who we've mentioned before, had started to struggle a little bit more, but did find the upgraded Kai'Sa to push this board just a little bit more. Still not very much money to work with across the board here, really. Our players have been spending very aggressively, particularly our single-digit HP players, just to stay in the game at all.
Hugely so. I mean, as a result, we're probably not going to be seeing anybody pushing to level 9 in this game. It's just going to be about the 8 units that you're getting on the board. We're seeing more and more of the 5 costs come through here on this board for Lovely. Seeing that Aatrox up at the front line. It's not going to do a huge amount at 1 star without any itemization, though. It's going to just, come down to the wire now as we get to these last ones, knowing that Noku and Tazingu, they can't afford a single loss if they want to pick up first place.
Lovely just rolled down. I think it was like 40 gold. No, I don't think he hit anything good, so that's unlucky.
No, not even 2-starring that Aatrox, and as Tazingu comes into this fight up against Simp Destroyers, the person who we saw beating them out at the end with that Kai'Sa last time round. They know it's do or die time. Kai'Sa already rinsing through the back line. K'Sante doing their worst and putting that damage out, knocking people off the table. Urgot gets flung through to the back line, doesn't able to get onto the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa gets that last bit of damage along with that Shadow Isles Yasuo. That is the end of the line for Tazingu after a brave fight. It's also Noku bowing out simultaneously, but with more HP intact. 3rd and 4th are now in the books.
Yes.
Wow, Lovely's managed to go get back on the win streak again. It's absolutely amazing. I was expecting some bigger things from the Zorn 6 composition in the end, but I mean, challenges, they just seem to be the most straightforward way to go right now, and Lovely, even contested in this lobby, has still been ridiculously dominant.
Yeah, I saw for a moment he took out the Taric. I don't know why, but he did take it out, put it just straight back in. Maybe he was thinking about selling items on the Taric. Maybe for the K'Sante in the back. Who knows? But he ended up putting it just back in.
Well, we have a battle of 2 Kai'Sas at this point, but one of them is considerably more itemized than the others. We can see it on the bottom right of the screen. Question is, will it be enough here? Because it is going to become the final focus of this Kalista, who has that Slayer emblem doing such extra work. And now Lovely finding themselves really up against it. They won streak for so long, but Simp Destroyers seems to be in the more prominent position right now.
Yeah, he sold via. I just saw he sold via. What's his name? Taric. So.
Yep.
It's a good change. Seems like he finally got rid of it and put something else in.
Well, we were praising K'Sante before. The Shen with the Shadow Isles emblem is extremely strong, but K'Sante, if he can stay alive and get those Shadow Isles procs off, you're talking about seeing itemized for casting variation, this Cassante, if he lives long enough, will be an absolute terror in these rounds.
Well, this could be one of the rounds that really shows us what there is. Because if the rot is not stopped right now by Lovely, we could just see Simp Destroyers running this one through to the end. It's all going to come down to what this Kai'Sa can do, constantly going untouched on the bottom side of the board until the front line is gone. But the front line's been disappearing just that little bit too quickly. Yasuo dashing now onto the crucial targets, getting the damage down. The Runan playing out nicely.
Ooh.
But that Kai'Sa still alive. The Aatrox hanging in for long enough to buy time for Lovely. And now we know that this is going to be a slow, drawn-out battle to the death.
Yep, exactly. I saw on Lovely's board, he changed out some units. He now has the Heimerdinger with Shrink Ray, which might have helped with just the shred. So he's going to be much stronger because he didn't have that shred before, but now he does. So he's going to be much closer and much better for him.
Counter, I feel like as casters, we like to focus on the big damage dealers. We like to see the likes of the Aphelioses and the Kaisans, what we talk about the most as they do the damage in the fights. But I think we're getting to a position now in this game where it becomes a simple case of whose front line lasts longer.
Yeah, I mean, we've got an incredible setup here for Simp Destroyer. We mentioned already, the Cassante with the Shadow Isles. We've also got the Yasuo with the Shadow Isles as well, and the Edge of Night. He's incredibly hard to put down. There are 2-star Yasuos on both sides here, but I think the Shadow Isles should be the difference maker. It's so powerful.
It's considerably scary with all that shielding coming through with Shadow Isle 6. We come back into the fray again as the last breath is issued by the Shadow Isles. Yasuo has not been able to dive onto that backline, and yet again, Kai'Sa is going so untouched for so long, dashing down to the bottom right, putting out good damage, but being absolutely rinsed through. This is the heaviest loss we have seen Lovely take so far.
Yeah.
Well, this is a proper slugfest.
He grouped all of his units in the corner for Shroud, and I don't think he actually hit the Shroud, so that was a big tank to it.
And I think this is one of the problems of running items like Randuin's, where you're making your composition very difficult to move around the field. If you want to try and pull off any shenanigans, it's not easy to do. And as you can see here, Simp Destroyer has so much more flexibility as to how they approach these rounds, where that Yasuo goes, and most importantly, where that Cassante will first cast.
So many emblems in this game, but looking there, it's the Challenger Senna as well we've got now, so even more attack speed coming through for yet another of the Shadow Isles unit. This is a nice use of the Shroud, however, blocking out a lot of the key mana-needing units. Is it enough, though? It doesn't feel like it is at the moment, because one Yasuo is just simply out-dominating the other, and with this juggernaut, Aatrox being the last standing Bastion, it's just not enough for Lovely as they go down to a place where they accept defeat. They lose 2 in a row. They know they can't take down Simp Destroyers, and Simp Destroyers is going to be your first place of the day.
Very, very good game. Very hype, and very congratulations to him to be able to take down the monster that was Lovely for most of the game.
Oh my gosh. Well, not a bad way to get us started off here today. So, Stan, with that first game done and dusted, I will see if we can grab maybe a few moments from some of the other games if they are any of them are ongoing. We will be taking a break and coming back at past to get our new cast set up. I think I'll do that now just to make sure that everybody's in place, because this is going to be a lot more technical, difficult to do. But Thor and Loki, our analyst desk, could we get some thoughts on them as we head into break?
What did you think about the attempt to use Piltover? Poor.
Oh, nice. I like that idea. Explain.
Hold on, I got this. Rough.
Oh, yeah.
You want to use that one this broadcast, Dan? Get out of here! Get out of here! Alright, we will be back at past. We're having a bit of a longer break than we would normally, just so I need to get some new casters set up. Some new mystery casters. Who could they be?
Just before we go, can I do one last quick shout out? Well, it's a twofold shout out. Shout out number 1 to me, because I'm awesome. Check out my Twitter. I've got that giveaway going on. Go like that, and you've got a chance to win some tickets for Insomnia. Big up that. However, even bigger up to the man just to my... Oh, well, you know, I'm pointing this way, so I'm going to do big up to Mr. Duck, who's clearly awesome. However, I was actually meaning to go this way. Big up to you, Peter, because you know what? It has been an absolute pleasure to get to join you for this anniversary cast. I was on one of the very OG casts a long time ago. I was, 60 years ago, some would tell you. And it's been an absolute pleasure getting to work with you, to see your rise. No one in the TFT scene deserves it as much as you do, and it's just been an absolute delight. And here's to another 60 more of these.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hopefully I get to play in
I'll
another
probably be-
60.
Oh, I'd be dead by then.
Oh.
Alright, well, thank you for your kind words, Stan. I'm just going to quickly post... Well, so I've posted Stan's Twitter competition in the chat. Please do go drop him a follow as well while you're there. Mr. Duck, I'm going to just post yours as well, just to try... If only to try and encourage you to post more stuff on Twitter. Please do go drop a follow to Mr. Duck. So, again, we'll be revealing our second set of mystery casters after the break. So our next segment of the broadcast will be starting in 10 minutes time. Again, thank you so much to Greyheart and Mr. Duck for joining us. We'll catch you in just a little bit for round number 2. Welcome back, everyone, to Cantor's Casual Competition, the 60th anniversary edition. With thanks, of course, to Mr. Duck and Greyheart in our first game. Now we're going on to game number 2. We'll have 2 more mystery casters. Now, first of all, introducing to my immediate right. You may have seen him before on the Rising Legends broadcast, and you may be familiar with his adventures up and down the ladder as he attempts to teach everyone the meaning of pain! From Germany, and with eyebrows and possibly some involuntary additional facial tribal tattoos because of some issues we're having with his camera, it's Lusherdinger. How you doing?
Yeah, it's war paint, because I'm expecting a great battle here in the next game. So yeah, I'm doing great. Hope you're doing great as well. Having fun in the anniversary edition so far. Lots of GT sports going on this weekend, so very glad to see.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know that you were saying you just came from checking out what was going on in the German scene, but what other stuff is going on this weekend that people should be aware of?
Well, there are Super Pro qualifiers for, I think, Nordics, and then right now rest of EMEA. So feel free to open that muted on your second monitor. And I think that's the most important ones. I'm not sure about the French finals. Could be as well. But then, yeah. Quite some exciting things to catch.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, the Super Bowl definitely coming up. I know tomorrow, the 11:45, I think it's probably going to be the main Twitch TFT channel. There will be the Northern Legends qualifier as well. So lots of fun things there. But let's not get too far down the rabbit hole because we've got one more person to introduce. Now, you may think that coming across a Spectre in your travels would be the most terrifying thing you can go across. But there are varieties of Spectre. There's friendly ghosts, there's nice ghosts, and sometimes if you are very unfortunate, there are deadly ghosts. Welcome to the stream, how you doing?
Oh, I love that introduction. I'm having a very good Saturday. Thank you for asking, Counter. Hope everyone else is having a nice start to their weekend. And hopefully everyone is excited to watch some great TFT as we've already had in round 1.
So, Deadly, I know that you were able to have a look at the previous game, which we saw, having an enormous amount of emblems in there. Did you have any thoughts before we look at some of the other lobbies on that game?
Well, all I can say is I think getting 2 Shadow Isles emblems as well as 2 Bastion emblems can for sure have a good impact on your final comp and net you a good placement. So congratulations to Sim Destroyer for grabbing the W in that game.
Well, let's go take a look at some of the games we didn't get to see from before. So I believe this will bring us across to it, and we can see some of the other ones. So we did see a little bit of Demacia being flirted with before, but Cute Hydra managed to take it to a first place here with the what is now a very traditional Yi setup. Where do you stand on Demacia at the moment?
Well, on the current patch, they nerfed the crown slightly, but I still think it's a very strong composition. Lots of tempo in the mid game, and interestingly, you can decide to either roll for the Garen and the Sona, or just decide to push level because you will be quite strong with 7 Demacia as a breakpoint. Here in the Master Yi variant is quite a common thing to see right now. Certainly one of the more consistent, stronger comps. And yeah, here pivoting it with very nice itemization on both the Sona and the Garen. With, well, probably some very early hits as well. Can be very strong, but can also fall short slightly.
Oh, Deadly, we've been corrected by Antboy. Apparently it was only one Shadow Isles and 1 Bastion. The tale has grown in the telling. I think by the time we tell people about it later on today, it's going to be like 5 Shadow Isles emblems and 15 Bastions. But let's take a quick look at some of the other ones here. So, since Shadow Isles was popular on the on-stream lobby, but it looks like Paraptis also managing to find some success there as well with a more challenger-centric approach.
Definitely, I'm seeing 7 challengers, if I count that right. Yeah, because a challenger emblem on Bel'Veth and 1 on Senna. Very interesting very interesting lobby. But yeah, very good itemization on both the Yasuo and the Kaisa. We see the Senna coming up with those shields. There are two variations to how you play Senna, and I see Rabdis has opted for the AP version, aka more shielding, which is understandable when you have challengers that can put up such insane amounts of damage. You only need that little bit of durability to sort of help them make that final push and eliminate the enemy's boards.
Alright, well, we have got ourselves our next round of play beginning now, so let's pop across and see who we've got. So we've got Anonymous One and Top Hat Kid. I hope Xenon will be able to provide us a stream as well once it's going. There we go. May not be appropriate, but it's alright, we'll have it muted, so we'll be protected for our gentle hearts. So, Lutcher, heading into this one, we saw enough, we've seen on some of our off-stream lobbies, we've seen on our on-stream lobby as well. Challenges have been extremely strong, even when being contested. Is that the most powerful route for our players to go, generally speaking right now?
Well, Challengers generally is one of those comps where you can fish in very consistent top 4s. You got a lot of easy spikes you can hit quite cheap. You don't necessarily need level 8 to round out your board. So a very good fallback. And then if you manage to hit these legendaries with the Challenger spots, we've seen that in the screenshot, right? With the, I think, Senna and Belvath it was. You can win out the lobby. So certainly is a good choice for you if you can't find an angle on any of the other compositions that do need a bit more setup to build around. Oh, the Deafen coming in.
Yes, we saw a Me Demacia Deafen from Anonymous One from the very beginning of the game. We can see the Master Yi means that it's no idle threat being made to anybody else. I mean, Deadly, are you this kind of player? Are you the, I've got one line, I'm going to play it no matter what anybody else does?
Well, I would say I am a little bit of stubborn when it comes to playing some comps, because I don't usually like to stray away from comfort. However, I am not the type of person to just send out a message and then deafen. But I can understand, since a lot of pros have actually been doing this in order to, I don't know, not contest each other, and when climbing the ranks to have a better chance at getting better placement and not getting contested. However, I do feel that it's sometimes a little bit of BM.
What's your stance, Lusher? Positive or negative?
Well, I'm by nature I dislike hard forcing, so not quite a fan. I think you should always leave open options rather than just pivoting in on the Garen, and just instead be open-minded, try and play maybe a Phileas or something as well. And then as well, you should never mute, because you do want to trash talk the other players, especially if you hit. So from my POV, it's just a misplay, but well.
Ooh.
It looks like Anonymous One has found a very, very early Garen, so far so good on that front. But other players are perhaps a little bit more open up, as you said. See Xenon here, who's managed to find a pretty decent early Sorcerer setup. We'll see if that stays in place.
Well, that's very interesting. We're seeing the Pandora's, but yeah, I think Pandora's is probably the best option there, especially in when we're starting with silver augments. But I am also very privy to Young, Wild, and Free. I think even going for a strong early comp and then just surprising everyone and grabbing the component or the champion you need, depending on what you need from Carousel, could very much be beneficial. But I do like the Pandora, as I think it gives you a lot of versatility. It leaves you open if you want to pivot in the later stages of the game. So definitely a very nice choice, and I can't wait to see what Zenmon is going to do.
Yeah, it is quite interesting. You can see he's pivoting around with the units he can play here. And he has the 80 items right now, but he can reroll them, so he's not quite sure whether or not it is worth it to keep this Swain pair, which is quite strong in the early game. So right now he decides to, well, keep the Swain as an option, which I really like, and then not slam any items. So probably sacrificing one fight here for potential huge gains later.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how this does work out longer term. That's a lot of potentially very powerful components being re-rolled. The kill we saw there.
Oh, he doesn't buy this way though. Ooh.
Okay, what's that telling? What's that telling you, Lusha, for Xenon to not do that?
Well, it seems to me that he is looking towards this more Ionia-centric setup. Maybe he's just eyeing one or two specific comps. Now he's saving the tier and the rod. So I guess he will want to play an AP composition, but apparently not focused around the Swain. I'm a bit confused.
All right, well maybe we'll find out longer term.
Just to break up the confusion a tiny little bit, I think it may be a Vel'Koz angle, because after the recent buffs to the targeting of Vel'Koz, so he doesn't randomly swing those spells, he has become a much more reliable carry and a better carry that is actually consistent and not that expensive, so you don't have to go for those 4-cost, 5 costs in the Lux Ari with the sorcerer comp. So it may just be that they want to keep to go for a blue buff or a Spear of Shojin with the Jeweled Gauntlet for that Vel'Koz.
Well, I mean, we've got a Vel'Koz on the bench right now, so perhaps we will get a bit more of a sign as... Interesting, so Hand of Justice being thrown in there pretty early on. Does this put any more doubt in your mind, Deadly, as to where Xenon is going?
Well, the Vel'Koz has been sold, that's a Hand of Justice, and I'm officially out of ideas.
Same as Slasher.
I mean, he decides to save the cloak. So I would say with the Hand of Justice, usually you're looking towards these maybe rogue compositions. Oh, he does decide to spam the spark now. So we've seen that Echo was buffed in the recent patch notes. So this might be a thing he's eyeing here. And since that was quite unpopular for some time, it wouldn't surprise me that we would be surprised by him taking that angle and going with the new hot stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Rogue is the only active trait right now, so it certainly would make sense. But we'll keep an eye on that, again, longer term, because we've got a 3
Let's
POVs.
see if he takes the Echo.
Oh, yes.
Here we go.
Oh, I think that almost seals it. We've got Katarina on there with on the carousel as well with a spatula. There's one player we haven't looked at as of yet in any kind of detail, or at least for a little while, which would be Top Hat Kid, who is bringing out a Bastion Gunner board. So something a little bit more standard, I suppose, than the more recently developing Rogue boards.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You go. No, you go.
Okay, so we have Top Hat Kid with the classic. I say classic, but it's more of it's Tristana board that ultimately wants to go for Poppy 3, Tristana 3, and wants to get those Shadow Isles units with the Maokai and the Viego. However, I think we do have a few people who are already contesting Top Hat Kid, so I don't know how that is going to turn out. But the general idea would be try to get as much gold as possible, and then once you get the 3-1, roll it all down to grab as many 3 stars as possible. Hopefully you hit all of your units, and I think champion building with the duplicators can help out if you're like 1 or 2 off.
Yeah, Lusha, I'm not sure about this position for Top Hat Kid, because I wanted Deadly in like the line of play we're seeing, but I'll eat my words actually, because a whole truckload of Tristanas arrived. But in terms of the other units, I mean, we've got lots of Tristanas, but nearly nothing of anything else.
Yeah, it's a bit rough because you're very reliant on hitting all the 3 stars. You might be contested as well, and you did not manage to build a full streak. So can be a bit dicey hitting here. But well, maybe just a Tristana 3 can be enough of a tempo play to keep him in line here, and then he may have to consider other options. But for now, certainly not the position he would like to be in. But still something very salvageable from this spot.
Having a quick check on the points of our players in this lobby. So let's see. So we've got Mad, Aloe, and similar. I believe this is table 6. So these will be the players who've got the lowest current points in the tournament. So it's fairly unlikely we'll see any of these players in the final round, but they can still improve their position quite dramatically. We have got prizes based on position all the way down to 3rd place today, so it's not completely out of the question whoever manages to top this lobby could still sneak into 3rd if the stars align.
I mean, yeah, if you have a bad first game and then you go for double firsts, you can definitely have some very good points until the end. And like you said, Counter, if someone can manage from this lobby can manage to get a win in this one and the next one, they could definitely contest for that top 3 spot and have a guaranteed prize at the end. But we are coming towards the interesting round of the Krugs, which can tell us a lot about how these comps will be developing. And we're seeing this Garen already with the Bloodthirster, and hopefully we Anonymous can get a bow to complete that Rage Blade, and the rest is up to the Demacia Radiant item that he's going to get.
Yeah, and it is quite interesting. Like, he already slammed the bow. So he's quite committed there. Maybe could have gone for a Sona item instead here elsewhere. And I think what's really interesting here is that he is very committed to this Rage Blade, because there is some discussion between players whether or not you go for that BT Titans or that BT Rage Blade to go along with the Radiant item you get from the Demacia trade. So we can see he really prefers the Rage Blade here, enough to just open slam the rod. And let's see where that takes him later in the game.
Yeah, up against Nike, who's got the spoils of war and has got some pretty aggressive itemization on that Samira to try and take advantage of it. I don't know if Anonymous one is too mad if they end up losing this round, though, because you said that getting that bow is absolutely vital. And it's not, Anonymous is not currently at the bottom of the score table to get that first grab.
No, definitely not. However, the set is was positioned for a single target stun, so you get that extra damage. And now we're seeing second augments coming through, and it'll be interesting what these players are going to get. Oh, 2 people have the boss, but let's see if anyone will get it. Return on investment is a very good augment, especially one that you're going for a reroll comp. Unified resistance is very nice. And Top Hat Kit, I don't see what they went for.
It's the unstable global delivery.
Yeah.
We knew that the Top Hat was having trouble with finding the units. I mean, presumably this is going to make a fairly big difference, at least getting that Poppy up to 3-star as well, alongside the Tristana.
The problem with that, though, for this stage is that you will more and more focus, well, not focus, but rather be forced to take these Teemos and Kleds instead of the Poppies. And you will still need to roll for the Maokai. So, while certainly helping, considering that he is now on 10 gold, doesn't really make his future look that much brighter. Still small help on hitting these units, though. And, well, let's see if we can manage to find like an out with these 3 rods.
So if you were in this position that Top Hat Kid is now, you've not got any money, you're waiting in the augment to hopefully drop something relevant, like perhaps a champion duplicator sneaking in there. Where do you go from here? Are you just rolling it all your gold every turn to try and hit your board, or are you trying to play out things more slowly?
Well, right now I think you're a bit stuck in this position. Even if you hit all the units, you won't immediately spike, because the items you have are not that good, right? You need some items before you can come truly online. So I would probably econ up, wait for more items, so carousel or PvE round, to get that spike back, and then look towards going strong from there and hopefully building a streak in stage 4. The rods may indicate Viego items, so that may be an out.
The rods may just indicate a lack of luck on the Krugs round. However, I do think that currently we are having a very interesting game from him, and Top Hat Kid. Let's see what they'll go for on this carousel round, because I think it would be, yeah, they went for the bow because I'm guessing they want that Rage Blade, since I didn't see any swords here, so next best thing would be to go for that Rage Blade on the Tristana.
Yeah, one of the ways to kill off the surplus of needlessly large rods on the bench right now. It does look like, in terms of the unstable yaw delivery, we're getting a lot closer to Top Hat getting to where they want to be. I mean, we've got the 5 Poppies, we've got the 4 Viegos. It's slow and steady, but it's actually still managing to get some 1 rounds in, even with this board not being at full strength.
Yeah, it might look like the lobby has not quite spiked yet, and you still do have this Tristana 3 and the upgraded Jinx. So there is some damage, and especially teams with a weaker frontline may get rolled over in that sense. So I'm quite lucky here for Top Hat Kid that he manages to stay relatively healthy, even though the game does not want him to be. So this might be exactly what he needs here in terms of time to get this delivery going, and hit the units and then get strong for stage fear. Sorry, too much German earlier.
I do want to take a second to recognize Xenon, who we saw on the other side there. We're talking about the potential board that was coming together, and it does seem like actually we have got ourselves an Echo carry manifesting here.
We definitely are seeing Echo being built up. One of the carries that, one of the 3 costs that has been buffed, along with both Katarina for that rogue squad. Their targeting with the rogue proc has been increased quite a bit, and I think this is going to be a very interesting comp, and I want to see how it's going to develop.
Yes, I can explain you a bit what the general idea here is, because you can also see that the Ionic Spark is not on the Echo actually, so I'm reading that item spots. So the basic idea here is you will have Freljord in, you will have Lissandra in for some damage amp, so that like mellows up the enemy team a bit, and then you build double Hosh and Jeweled Gauntlet on your Echo, and then at 3-star what the Echo will do, he will just insta-kill every unit because they are mellowed up by Freljord and by and then by the Lissandra as well, and then you full heal with the double Hosh and the Jeweled Gauntlet. So basically you become invincible in that sense, because everyone strikes you down, but it's just free mana for you, and you get a full heal on every kill.
Yeah, I think that was very good for a patch or 2, but then Echo got nerfed into the gutter, right?
Yes,
he has just been rebuffed as of this patch.
Yeah.
I can't actually recall if it's gonna bring him back to his previous level, but apparently it's powerful enough that Xenon's willing to gamble this game on this Echo comp being good enough.
I mean, I've seen quite a bit of Echo on PBE, which I expect has very similar numbers, and there it seemed quite strong. Well, at least as long as you hit the Echo 3. So I do have faith that this can work out, and the items mostly seem there, so there are just 6 Echoes missing, and I'm really excited to see whether or not that will work out or not.
Yeah, sort of reminds you of like a Darius 3 board, where you're looking at Darius to just space jam throughout the whole enemy board, and is virtually unkillable because of that bloodthirster that you would put on him. But yeah, we have seen this happen in the past with Echo. Okay.
So I just wanted to call this out, because I know Chushin actually isn't in this particular competition, but one of her favorite augments to mess around with is Shimmering Inventors. This will give a huge boost of extra power to the Echo. I mean, Lusha, could compared to having this versus not having this, how big of a difference should the Shimmering Inventors make to this board?
Well, I just said, right, what you really want to do is you want to have this Echo one-shot stuff and in full heal. And while bonus damage percentage really helps you on your hyper carry to one-shot stuff. So this is exactly what you want to see here. You even get an Echo on the side. We now see the Chalice coming in, so even more power here. And, well, if he manages to hold on this 30 HP, this does look very promising.
Up against the kill with the Ionian Challenger board, we can see that a lot of the item carrier for the time being Warwick, who I have to imagine won't stand up tremendously well against the burst, but isn't getting focused right this second. I think Zemon would be probably totally fine again with a loss, is currently riding the streak, but is on a low enough HP total that has to play a little carefully if he's hoping to actually hit the 3-star Echo.
Yeah, and we're already witnessing what Lesher was talking about. The Echo healing up, dealing massive amounts of damage, and just wiping out the board slowly there. So once that 3-star Echo comes in, this board is going to have very interesting build up in time into any of those boards, because a lot of players have slowly turned off the focus on having your tanks be extremely strong, or having a lot of protection for your backline carry, since Rogue has been a comp that has been nerfed quite a lot. So we're already witnessing Echo just demolishing the backline, and just that extra bit of damage is so good.
We'll definitely come back. Well, we'll keep an eye on this competition. We'll keep checking around to see what everyone else is up to, because there's still a lot happening in the rest of the lobby. Anonymous, again, are committal to Demacia from the very beginning of the game. He has managed to hit 7 Demacia, though hasn't actually been riding high on the HP totals, despite having a very clear game plan from the very beginning of the game.
Yeah, and you can really see that you can have a clear plan, but just because you can see the direction, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will come together. So there is risk involved, always. And here on this Demacia board, for example, you can really see the lack of the bow was really crucial in getting a very consistent stage 3, early stage 4 board. But hopefully this will fix some of these issues.
Oh boy, yeah, so the inconsistency being taken in place. And going for the Radiant Bloodthirster rather than the Radiant Ginsu. So we'll see if this is the turning point for Anonymous 1. On 40 HP, certainly a lot more than Zemon has right now, but there's a lot of other players who are around a similar position right now in the lobby.
Yeah, the lack of Rageblade has definitely been detrimental for Anonymous, and they finally managed to get that return on investment bonus, so the extra Juggernaut unit is going to help out the Garen. And I think Garen already deals enough damage with the attack speed stacking and the Demon Slayer. So I think just having that little bit of extra sustain from the Radiant Bloodthirster is going to be much more helpful than the extra bit of attack speed from the Rageblade. So I'm interested to see whether they will hit the Garen 3, because like we saw in round 1, there was a game where Garen 3 won the lobby with Radiant Bloodthirster and Rageblade being the items built out.
Well, Lusher, something I want to kind of bring up now, because it started to become more relevant, is, you know, we know we've got Echo in place. We've also got a Garen, in this case with double Radiant Bloodthirster. We're getting into a situation where if you don't have the ability to deal massive damage to a single target, you're going to really struggle to ever get rid of these, focal carries if your comp, is at all spreading its damage around.
Yeah, I mean, you can go for the burst. So a unit like Lux, for example, is very good at doing that. But for the Tristana here, instead, what you can do is just have lots of CC, and then as well combined with the Shred here in form of the Heimer turret, that can be good enough, because if these units are CC'd, they're unable to heal themselves as well. So there are different ways to approach this, but you do need to find a solution for these units so you can deal with them successfully in the later fights. But maybe they just have luck and, well, these reroll hyper carry players just die off.
2-star Lux sneaking in there for Anonymous one, a pretty solid board upgrade. But let's keep moving around, check out what Top Hat is up to. It's actually got 5 Yordle in. That is not something I was expecting to see at all today.
Okay, so that's why we didn't see the heavy focus on the Shadow Isle units, because the plan was to go for that 5 Yordle, which it honestly makes sense once you get that Yordle portal going for you. We see the Tristana, we see the Poppy, and this board is starting to look much more interesting. And in the late game, you can still go for a Shadow Isles with that Senna, and maybe you can go for 2 additional Gunners as Top Hat Kid just to give that Tristana a little bit of extra damage. But honestly, you can just go for 2 more Bastions and make that front line even better, and just allow Tristana to take over and demolish any and every opponent.
Take a quick check in on Xenon, of course, who's still on the 1 life, the single-digit HP, the only player to have done so. It's looking like the board is working well enough for now, but Lusha, I know you knew a little bit more about this composition, I think, than either the rest of us did. Given that we've got 1 life left here for the rest of the game for Xemnon, are there any kinds of compositions? You mentioned the CC before. Are there ways for this board or matchups for this board that would be bad enough to get that final life away from them?
Well, the problem is it's very hard to position for this, actually, if you're the opponent here facing Xemnon. Because the Echo will jump to the backline, you do have other methods to consider, so you do most likely have to sack it here. You can go for the other side and then just hope for CC taking it down. Top Hat Kid definitely is one of the strongest options right now with the Trist. And the Poppy here, hopefully knocking away the Echo. But the Echo refuses to be hit by the Poppy. And that leads to a very rough loss here. And this is just the story of this composition. And, well, as it's still Echo 2, the burst potential is quite strong, but the lobby might be in huge problems if Xemnon manages to find these last 2 Echoes.
Yeah, not too far off the Cat 3 as well, which is also itemized very nicely. A Jewel Gauntlet, the Hand of Justice, and the Ionic Spark on her as well. So Xemnon potentially going with a two massive carry board, and the rest of his board is slowly coming together as well. Dear God 2 has come in. There's a Vi 2. He has also found the Sejuani, so that extra tankiness on the front line, and all of his units in general is going to be very nice. And I'm sorry, but it's so funny just watching Echo demolish a Belveth 2.
Yeah, you can see Xenon's girlfriend in the background looking for the enemy's carries. So this is quite strong, but we do see that the Yasuo is actually getting quite close to taking it down, but ever so slightly he failed short, and you can see the purpose of this build coming in as the Echo right now is full life again.
No!
But then the overtime strikes again.
I think it's having the 2 Callistas there meant that the spears were getting stacked up over such a long time. So that's going to be pretty disappointing. I was really excited to see how that board develops longer term as well, but ultimately in 8th place with Nike and the kill, both on single digits as well, so very close for Xemnon to be able to climb up to at least challenge for a top 6.
Yeah.
The karma burst with the Callista spears. Too much.
And Callista is one of those things you can do, right? Because you can't out-heal the spears. They will one-shot you at one point. So there's like no consistent damage which you can out-heal, but that is the used burst you're looking for. But well, was very close till the end there.
I'll check back in with Top Hat again. Looks like trying to fish for a little few more Yordles to go in here at level 8. Still got Yordle 5 in play. The Senna joining in for 3 Gunner. Maybe looking at 4 Gunner 4 before it's all said and done.
Yeah, it does look like the fourth gunner is going to be that Jace, which I honestly get. You want to give the extra attack speed. Having two Zon with Zeri might be beneficial for top hat kid. However, just going for that Jace would be nice. However, he has rolled down significantly after leveling up to 8, so he's definitely very far from getting to that for gunner point. Yeah, overlooking the Zeri, I think they just want to finish up this Clyde, make it a 3-star as well, and just look to power up their board a tiny bit, because they are on 1 life. 4 people actually on 1 life. 1, 2, 3, and 7 HP.
Very close indeed here. And you can see that at this point, you may greed because there is not really a lot you can upgrade on this board. But they decide to just invest anyways, because with these HP totals, it's even more important to just win the next fight and somehow sneak into top 4 territory. And just donkey roll away for hope.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think Top Hat Kid very disappointed how that one ultimately played out. And we are getting that top 4 coming together. Top Hat and Nike both eliminated in this round. Maybe even, in fact, yes, we're guaranteed another elimination right now. As, yeah, XF holds on by the fingertips. Dignity King up at the top on a win streak with a huge amount of HP.
Yeah, this is such an interesting board. Anonymous has forgone the second Juggernaut for Garen and has opted to go into the Shrink Ray of Heimer, which ultimately is going to be beneficial. And we see on the roll down, he did not hit the Garen. However, he did hit the Sona, which, with a few buffs to its damage after the heavy nerves, has now become a much more stable unit. And with that AoE from Garen and the Lux, this Demacia board is definitely very scary to face.
Yeah, and he really econed his way through to go for this roll on, but he may have waited a bit too long, because every other tier 3 reroll player is out here, so the pools are refilled. You can see all these Katarinas, the Echoes, and the Barriers there in the pool, and it's getting very hard to finish this Garen off.
Anonymous one. Yeah, I think it looks like that's just is going to be off the card. So, I mean, the board is still pretty good right now, even if 3-star Garen may not be forthcoming. The backline is absolutely astonishingly strong, and see how quickly the health bars get ripped through. Yasuo does survive to the very end, though, and he's enough to hand out the L. Anonymous survives into second place as XF goes out.
Yeah, so this board it would be very, very, very unlikely for Anonymous to hit that Garen, but it's going to be such a heavy task just to get to that Garen, just to find those last bits of damage on that board to help Anonymous with the win, because Dignity has itemized his Yasuo, has a 2-star Heimerdinger, and has a 2-star Kalista and Kai'Sa that can just demolish this board.
The one thing that's missing from the Yasuo is a defensive item of the Edge of Night, so it does get blown up, but buys enough time to hand out the L to Anonymous 1, who still successfully forced the composition through to a second place finish, which is no mean feat at all.
No, very nice adaptation, because we could see there, right, the bow coming in very late, so the Garen was on 1.5 items, and then again the lack of Garen 3 also diminishing the chances for victory here. So I guess you can be very happy taking the top 2 spot here and just raking in that points to maybe attack for the top 3 in the last game with another good performance.
All right. Well, with that said, I'm just gonna have a quick word with Noodles because we finished that round quite a lot faster than we might have otherwise. So I'm just gonna quickly check to see if any of our other lobbies are running. I think we've got. Let's see. So table 1 is done. Table 2 might have some people still going. I'm gonna have a quick check and see if that is the case. While I'm searching for that, in case we don't have any more, because we'll be saying goodbye to you at the end of this game. And it's looking like, yes, I think our tables are mostly done. I'm going to probably try and aim to get the Noodles to start. Ooh, I was going to originally go for half past, but I think that might be a little too late. Might go for 25 past instead. Sorry, either way around it. From Lusher, from you, is there anything that you'd like to spread the good word of to the people before you head off today?
Well, have fun, enjoy the weekend. Nothing too much interesting going on. There will be Super Brawl next week, which I'm very excited to be part of as a caster. I think you as well, right, Peter? So
yes. So I'm casting the Super Brawl, the Super Brawl broadcast, which yes is next weekend. The Super Brawl qualifiers you mentioned right back at the beginning. So WrestleMania is happening today, and Northern Legends is happening tomorrow. So this should be really good. I think the big change coming up for Super Brawl this season has been that a lot more of the regions have been fielding teams during their qualifiers rather than making up teams out of individual single players. So from what I've heard, Lush, and maybe this has been the case for you as well, that there's been a lot more teamwork developing coming into Super Brawl than we would have seen before.
yes, definitely, and that's what I'm really excited to see. Now that we do have these 4v4 qualifiers as well, we will have these teams that will be kind of in sync already, at least for some regions. So I'm excited to see how they perform. The German League, they have their traditional final where they take the top 4 participants to build the team. So while I think they will probably get a higher player skill level on average because they do take like their most elite players from the region. They are not that experienced in the team play specifically, so I'll be very excited to see how this will match up and how the results will come in then.
So Deadly Ghost, from yourself. I mean, I'm just gonna go quickly post your various Twitters and the chat just to make sure everyone is following you. But Deadly Ghost, is there anything you'd like the good folks at home to know about before we head to break, heading towards game number 3?
Well, currently I'm not casting any of the tournaments that you mentioned. I think we just add to you guys. I think there's also the Polish finals happening this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, still,
I believe they're this coming Wednesday. If my research doesn't.
Oh yeah. I saw the announcement yesterday, and so I thought they were this weekend. But yeah, I just thought I must have gotten confused. Apologies on my end. But yeah, if you drop a follow, I do post memes occasionally on the Twitter. It's not a too serious of an account, and be sure to follow that and the Twitter because I might be coming with some streams on Twitch more, and just drop a follow if you like me as a caster.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for coming in for game number 2. So again, we're taking around a 15-minute break to make sure we get everybody in line for our third game because we got one last mystery pair of casters coming in for our final game today. Thank you so much, Lush Dinger and Deadly Ghost for being here. Actually, Lush, did you want to DM me your? I know you say you were moving away from X to other platforms. Is there other places people can find you?
Well, just Twitch right now. So it's
okay.
Lushding on Twitch.
All right,
I'll probably set up Mastodon soon, but I'm not a huge fan of socials, so I'm a bit lazy on adapting.
Alright, well, thank you both so much. Again, we'll be back in around 15 minutes time for our final round of the day, along with our last 2 mystery casters. So stay tuned. We'll see you then. Again, Lusha, Delegas, thank you so much. We'll see you again down the way.
Yeah. Enjoy the final.
Have a good one.
Welcome back, one and all, for the final round of Kansas Casual Competition 60th Anniversary Edition. It's time to unveil our final mystery casters. Now, our first one, you may have seen on one of the alternate lobbies for our most recent Golden Spatula Cup, as well as the NLC UK League of Legends, or say UK Nordics League of Legends side of things. He has not only got the best thumbs in the business, but also the coolest bandana. It's Middlecott. Welcome to the stream. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, Counter. It's really cool to be here. Like you said, mostly a League of Legends guy, but been branching out into some more TFT stuff. It's a game that I've enjoyed ever since it was released right back in beta. I've had a bit of a tumultuous relationship, a couple of sets that I've not enjoyed so much, but nah, I'm really loving what we've got, and I'm really happy to be here with you, mate.
And for our final mystery guest, perhaps, I'm trying to think of rhymes that go well with it, which I'm struggling through at the moment. I've had about 4 hours of sleep. Well, my name is Peter. His name is Weeda. Weeda, everyone knows who you are already, so I won't bother doing an introduction. How you doing? Welcome to the Casual Competition as well.
Thank you very much, mate. Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of TFT casting.
You've done probably the most TFT casting, along with Matt, from literally the earliest days it was possible to cast TFT, right?
I mean, there are some people about NA that have done a lot more, I'd say, right? But yeah, in terms of like official EMEA stuff, for sure, it's Matt and I.
I feel like a bit of a noob here.
We're all noobs.
Think about it, Middlecott, to be fair, right? You've had to laugh at my League of Legends knowledge for like 3 months now, right? So
it's been all right.
So it's fine. I am not unfallible in any way. I think that is safe to say, all right. But always exciting to kind of take a step into some more like a different set of players that you don't normally see. Like, how does the meta change? I think this patch in general has a lot of ups and downs, not fully really been discovered, right? Because with the release of the PBE and the only people pretty much playing live right now being the people that are qualified for the Super Bowl or playing Super Bowl qualifiers, there are some optimizations that we haven't seen come out yet, and maybe they will come out today.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see how that one goes. Because today we were talking in Game 2 about the Super Bowl definitely looming pretty large with the 2 qualifiers going on this weekend, including Northern Europe tomorrow. I guess I kind of like to get a sort of taste from you, Middlecott, because of course I know quite a lot about sort of preferences in terms of TFT. But for you, what are your kind of favorite kind of play styles and comps that you'd like to see?
Oh, I'm so I can't remember the exact term for it, but it's derived from Magic the Gathering, and it's the sort of player who doesn't necessarily care about winning, but wants to win in a stylish and cool way. I think it's called like a Johnny or like a Tommy or something.
Hello, Timmy. I think it's Timmy, right?
Timmy,
Hello,
yes,
Timmy.
but I am absolutely fine with having like a 20% top 4 rate and like a 10% top 2 rate, provided that like when I get those, I'm doing something weird. Like literally this morning, I had a scope weapon, sniper's focus, like 3-star Viego that was just like popping people from a backline, and I got top 2 with that. So yeah, it can work out.
I can appreciate it, actually. I think I'm a relatively similar player as well, where experimentation is the absolute key. We saw in the previous game, we were talking about how Josh Nancy was a big fan of the Shimmering Inventors, which has been, of course, a augment that has invited experimentation through the set, finally getting its big time to shine. I suppose you mentioned, of course, sort of what your general preferences are. I mean, do you have any sort of thoughts left to give in this patch, or are you completely in PvE mode right now?
I mean, I have not opened PvE since before this set, so I'm nowhere near PvE mode, Peter. I am on the grind, and
I respect that.
I've been toying a little bit with some Tristana just because like it's kind of in the meta, right? But it's obviously not. So the thing is that I unironically, right, the last 6 games that I have played have been either the University or Prismatic First. So I've had 6 Prismatic Firsts in a row. and I've been trying to play one-cost reroll compositions. Doesn't necessarily mix too well, especially when you get hit with the random 3% triple prismatic off the back of university. So, but I think that those comps are pretty open right now. They can do well in terms of securing a top 4, especially if you manage to high roll and can start building vertically on something like the KL comp and the Tristana comp as well, obviously. But I think that we're going to be looking at a lot of Lux Nasir, and I think that's the biggest composition right now that kind of gained a lot of power over the course of this patch. Right, the Bastion frontline has been brought down a tad in power, meaning that the Shurima core itself will do better. It'll be easy to get through, and Nasir can reach those squishy backliners a lot easier.
Middlecop, in terms of like space that has been opened up because of the patch, I don't know if we saw a little bit of it in the previous game, though it didn't work out terribly well. Have you had a chance to mess around with the newly fixed rogues, which potentially you can go for the 4 rogues, get some bleed in across the board?
No, I do like a little bit of that. I feel like with a lot of these, with rogues especially, is one of those traits that has kind of been ignored. You kind of just like splash it sometimes, but you don't really build compositions around it. I did actually have a bug with rogue with my Viego like a little bit earlier, so I don't know what's going on with that. But for sure, I think that compositions that can have like easy access onto backline, especially when we've got stuck like Lux and Azir, which is so prevalent in the meta, I think can for sure work out, and rogues offer that, and also a fair bit of frontline shred actually, if the MR values aren't too high.
Yeah, I think the rogue is a trait that has been pretty interesting, right? Because it's kind of been a new take on the whole backline axis you're talking about. It's not the it's not the assassin or the infiltrators that jump to the backline, which does give a lot of interesting buildings like that's how it works, right? Because it is a lot less reliable, but it also is kind of strong. But you've seen some pretty interesting positioning things where you've seen people like make their sets, for example, take aggro first so that they instantly get onto the backline, right? And I think that we have seen some of those set cups. We saw Echo a lot at the start of the set being like a main carry in terms of in that like rogue composition as well with Katarina. But and also kind of funny that when Chucky joins the live balance team, Rogue, he acknowledges that Rogue sucks and fixes it, and like that's like a thing from like way back in Chucky's Hearthstone days when he was a player. He literally made a meme in Excel where he plotted out the word "Rogue sucks" and just posted it on Twitter. He was like, he just like had this crusade against Rogue for so long that like I really wish like the first thing he did was like just to nerf Rogue just because it would be like a banger meme, but not quite.
Well, general friends, it looks like our lobbies are loading in right now for a final of the day. So we have gotten a bit of an unusual situation. We don't have any streamers actually in lobby 1, so we're going to have to go for lobby 2. I suppose it does make at least the final results of the competition a little bit more mysterious. Then when, of course, game 3 is done, we'll be having our giveaways, of which there are quite a few. So we'll get to those in a little bit. There's also the feedback format for today's tournament as well. For now, gentlemen, let's get into things as we bring up our final game of the day.
I mean, Nox Cray, I don't think I played. Is Nox Cray not bugged right now? I feel like I haven't seen this. Like, I haven't seen this portal all throughout the entirety of the season because I feel like every time we had a tournament, it's been bugged.
It's just
I'm sure.
It's just not particularly interesting. I don't find it really.
Oh, whoa! Don't have to worry about it. It's going to be Ecliptic Vaults instead. I think the Nox Cray did get fixed in this patch, but I'm not going to absolutely swear to it. So instead, we're going to have a lot more gold flowing in. So. Well, there we go. Just a quick reminder. So every time the augment stage comes up, we're going to be getting 4 gold in and 8 gold, then 12 gold. So our players should be able to play a little bit more fast and loose with their economy.
Yeah, and obviously, if that means that you are able to build that economy quicker, you're going to get access to levels quicker, or if you want to go for a more aggressive reroll based composition, you're going to have a little bit of extra power to propel that. But I think really, with Ecliptic Vaults, you want to be building that economy up as much as possible, getting as much interest as possible, start rolling for levels, start rolling for those big units which have really defined the set.
So, Wheaty, you said before you're a big fan of Tristana at the moment, and there's got a reroll angles into the game. Are you of a similar mind with Middlecop that you prefer to see players going for the more expensive stuff with more gold to play with? I
think calling me a big fan of Tristana, I think is kind of That's blasphemic almost, I'd say.
Interesting. Please expand.
I mean, so when I play compositions on a ladder, I'm playing them to figure out like what is the most messed up spot that I can play this composition from and still do relatively well, right? Just to
Okay.
kind of understand the overall composition power level, to know like whether or not I can to help the spot recognition when I'm casting, right? So that's why like I will play a lot of random compositions at times, just from like spots that may or may not be beneficial for it. It costs me like probably 300 to 400 LP over the course of a set, because I just play comps that I shouldn't be playing from spots where I know I shouldn't be playing them, but in case a player is forced to do that at some point, I know how to then navigate that spot, right? But I do think that overall, my favorite comps this set have been stuff like Aphelios, it has been stuff like a Seer, it has been stuff like the Lux comps as well, right? Around these 4-cost carries that I feel like are the most fun in this set overall. So I definitely do get the narrative that Middlecott here is producing as well.
Take the emblem. Take the emblem. Come on.
Oh, no random emblem. What kind of player are you? Jeez. And there's a rogue card there as well. Come on, give us something good.
Are we rolling Blood Money? No way, bro. Blood Money is so good.
Yeah, both of
Come
our
on.
on-stream players have both passed up Blood Money, which is outrageous to me as well. But yeah, they both decided to go against it, so we've got ourselves a few extra bits and pieces dropping in here for Pills early on. Going for the Caitlyn, which we haven't seen a lot of today.
Yeah, Caitlyn is an interesting one. I think that the biggest upside with Caitlyn is her prismatic, right? That starter kit, even post nerf, I think that starter kit is still super strong, giving you direction. You find an early Seri, an early Aphelios, stuff like that, and can really give you a lot of direction. Another interesting thing to note about the player at the bottom, where I was kind of surprised, right? He did have that 2-star Samira, and while Samira is still pretty strong, and like she was known, like she's not the uber power level unit that she was before. I think that you can make the argument there that you wouldn't get enough value out of Blood Money in the early game to really make a move for it.
Well, if Sigma player has anything to say about it, picking up the Silver Spoon up to level 5 already, there will be some heavy losses being handed out. At least Noku's able to get a decent front line in place, but bench isn't looking so good right now. Perhaps just hoping to get an early pickup of a unit or two while running this out in a loss streak.
I mean, that Maokai was grooving a little bit. He was looking fairly funky on that line, but yeah, I think you don't want to be taking too high HP losses this early on. But I don't think TFT is really that determined by early game as much right now. As long as your economy is in a decent state and you're building up a relatively strong board, which is kind of what we're seeing here, you should be fine for the later rounds.
I did see that like I was saying quickly, Peter, right? Picking up that Blood Money. So we do have at least someone in the love that didn't skip the augment.
Well, talk to me a little bit about it, because, you know, we understand the basic idea of Blood Money. You know, you lose HP, you get gold. Why is it something that we should be so surprised to not see more players going for when they get the chance?
Because of the accumulative nature of economy in CFT. So there's exponential growth in getting more gold earlier on in the game, and when you combine that with the open forward strategy of just losing as much HP as you can to guarantee your loss rate, to the combination of the additional gold coming through from the Blood Money to help you get up above those interest breakpoints, it really just helps you elevate your economy for those bigger roll downs coming into the later stage of the game around 4-1, 3-5, etc.
Right, we're checking in with King of Hearts, who we've noted before, of course, that the challenges have been very popular across the course of the day. Has put together a level 5 board by cutting some corners, but not quite strong enough to deny Roku from starting to build a win streak.
Yeah, the thing is, leveling up is great, but really getting those 2-star units early on is where a lot of the additional power is. You can see that's what's benefited Roku massively with the Samira, with the Jhin. These units aren't going to be exceptional carries as the game goes later on, but they're fine for now, and they're going to help build up a little bit of a win streak for this player.
There's a banger joke in there somewhere with the cutting corners augment that you can make, and I just can't find it, and I'm so annoyed at myself, actually.
Twitch chat, help us out! You're our only hope.
Like, it doesn't pay to cut corners, you can see right there. Like, there's something right
good,
there.
That's good. I like that.
Let's workshop it.
We can workshop a bit, right?
You should have saved that line for the very end, though. We need to keep mentioning cutting corners, or people are just going to be like, what?
We need to continuously reinforce it. I feel like every third sentence should include some reference to cutting corners, just so we can keep the idea fresh in everyone's minds.
This is what casting is truly about. It's trying to work out a really elaborate gag.
You don't want to be cutting corners, really, do you?
No. I have a good one. So do you know what Gwen's favorite exercise is?
No. Please tell.
Cutting corners.
Cutting corners, true.
Is that an exercise?
I mean, she has a huge scissor, Peter, okay?
I understood it's a cutting reference. I just didn't understand if I was supposed to be a real exercise or not. I don't understand this world anymore. Quick, let's go look at what Pills is doing. Demacia, challenges, I don't know.
What?
Murcott, save me!
I know. I like Demacia. I think obviously the little they gave it a little bit of a buff. But just generally, the power of those radiant items is particularly obscene, and it's one of the nicest traits to get an emblem for. I often find because those radiant items, like, they are worth like 2.5 items in terms of their raw power level sometimes.
I'm with you there. I tend to find, I mean, we know we've seen players in our lobbies with a very defined game plan going to Demacia. For Pills, we don't have the same, Master Yi setup we'd normally see, where you can just, you kind of know what nearly all of your organs are going to be through the whole game.
No, but this looks like, is this a Kale setup? Like, we're holding a Kale pair on the bench. We have the early 2-star puppy now. It's 2-star. It's not really early 2-star anymore, right? But the economy also from the free-to company is obviously very good, so I think that we could be looking in towards something like that. But the issue is here that you will have to hit somewhat soon, because you're looking at around the rest of the lobby, other players like Rusnip here, right, that are in a pretty good position overall, and doesn't necessarily have anything committed to them. We also saw, was that an Ionia emblem we saw already made? That's a little of intent at least.
It's quite fun, but this is the point where you're going, okay, I can kind of have a little bit of a rough early game, but now I need to make sure that I'm actually transitioning out of that point as we go through the stages, so that you don't end up in a situation where a couple of losses is going to put you down to, let's say, 20, 15 HP, and then you're in a position where you have to panic a little bit more, and you have to find power now rather than necessarily have that luxury of being able to plan a little bit more for the future.
You can see Pills there contrasted against Deadly Ghost. But you noticed before, Deadly Ghost with the blood money has been, as we just said, doubly benefiting from these losses, whereas Pills, really does need to turn the corner. I have to imagine, that this board isn't going to get massively stronger unless we can find a cheeky early Garen to get up to Demacia 5 quickly.
Yeah, you need units on this board right now because you've not quite got the star levels that you would have wanted in your 1 costs, and now you are starting to get to that point where 3 costs and maybe even cheeky 4 costs for people that are feeling particularly aggressive in terms of their leveling are going to start dropping down onto the board, and you really can't afford to get outpaced with the Demacia composition, especially when you aren't finding access to those big 4 cost units yourself.
This spot is very awkward. I will admit. It looks like a pretty good setup for just a challenger middle point here, right? Like you have the Kalista, you can slam either the Rage Blade or the RDRFC, but we're rolling on 5 instead. Where we're trying to play Kale here. Why did we level them? We saw the Kale as well. I'm a little bit confused about what's going on here fully, but it could just be like a situation where you're trying to somewhat stabilize and figure out what you're doing, which can happen. I think we should probably slam Redemption for some sort of stability here as well in the front line.
Oh,
I think we're pivoting. Okay, I think that's smart. That's smart.
Hey, N9, welcome to the stream. Also, a little curious as to what's going to be happening here long term. I do like this from Pills, though. Not kind of finding exactly what he wanted before, so making the choice to make the switch. We can see Sim Destroyer is potentially going to be in a similar line. Has that Ionian emblem you mentioned before, Weta. So likely to be a little trickier to pick up those 2-star challenges than they would be otherwise.
That's another thing as well, right? Like this is kind of like, so you and I, we've done our fair share of casting League of Legends, right? And there's a big difference in casting League of Legends games that are played on live service compared to League of Legends games that are played on the tournament realm, just purely based off of the usernames. And this feels very much like casting. this feels very much like casting, casting a game on a live League of Legends server while people are just playing on their Smurfs and stuff. You have a name like Simp Destroyer in there. Like I feel like even King of Hearts. Like, because like I feel like all of our names on like the official TFT broadcasters, they're so watered down for the most part, right? They're like this is like the true authentic TFT experience.
I feel like that's like with every like game, with every like esport, is like the first like year and a half maybe. You'll have some like wacky names, and then everyone will like sort of calm down in terms of comp and stuff. They'll move all of the weird names over to the ladder. But I do like the fact that we do see this like swap over from pills and not getting into that mindset of trying to force a composition which you're just not being given the units for. You sort of take what you've been offered and try and build something with that instead.
We are receiving word from Always Blame Jungle, and I'm trying to confirm this is the case. I'm just going to see if we can maybe bump this up on one of the other streams. So we are in lobby 2 right now. We don't have sight of lobby 1. Apparently Always Blame Jungle is streaming, but it doesn't seem to be working for me. So we'll update you folks as and when we can get sight in there. For the time being, we'll just look at our players here and see. I mean, you know, based on what we've got in here, we could potentially see one of these players battling at least for 3rd place.
I can see a level of 7 here actually. You only lose 1 goal and you get a shop in next time around. It should be pretty good for you if you're up hills. I think guys, there's an Ari here.
A level 7 Ari, yes. Is that not just normal? Is that not what happens in everyone's games? Oh no! You broke it with a cup.
It's just and the thing is, you always end up going up against the Ari in a perfect composition. You just end up fighting yourself against her, and like pills. Yeah.
There's also a Senna. There's also a Senna.
Oh my word! I love TFT.
Well, easy peasy, just hit. Bear in mind, Deadly Ghost is not playing as a tournament player here. He is playing as a drop-in. So, which of course is not going to make Pills feel any better about having lost that HP, but he will be ultimately invisible in the standings, even if he were to come first.
Well, and I think that's looking rather likely, right? Getting 2 5 costs this early on. Obviously, it's important to build a strong board around them, especially when it is units like the Senna and like the Ari, who are still fundamentally very, very squishy. And so anyone that's able to find backline access like a Jarvan could still screw them over and they wouldn't be able to be as effective. But it's a really positive thing to happen for you at 3-3 to have that much power level on the board.
It is, but there's also so as I spoke about earlier on with the economy and TFT, the accumulative nature of it, right? A lot of these boards here are going to be super expensive. They are going to be pretty contested, right? You have a lot of people that are looking to potentially play units like the Shen, for example, right? So if you used up all your gold already, you need to build up a strong win streak that can then take you through at that point, because you're also rolling for that karma free. You're investing a lot of gold here into a board that may or may not have that super strong front line that it needs to buy time for the likes of the Ari, right? So there are some potential faults that could come into play here, and we got to keep an eye out for Deadly Ghost, because while this could be a high roll, it also could be a theoretical high roll.
So moving from Deadly Ghost onto Noku, who's the currently win-streaking player, as you said, you know, having a ton of money flowing in because of that. Interesting itemization on the backline here. Makes me think that maybe at least we've got on the cards to move into a Aphelios Bastion composition, but right now the challengers are still getting the job done.
Yeah, and I think that another thing that's worth noting here as well when you're looking at the setup here, right? This is the guy we're talking about, or this is the person, sorry, no, we're talking about them earlier on, saying that they skipped the blood money, right? They realized that their spot was good for a win streak, played for that instead. And with the likes of that component buffet, which is a pretty interesting augment to work with, right? Because it allows you to pick your items a lot more effectively, allows you to get into what could be bis more often, more than likely. So he's looking at playing a potential Aphelios here most of the time. He has a lot of gold here, and that's important because the traditional Aphelios comp, the Freljord, Sejuani frontline, all that stuff, is a very expensive composition to hit. So like very often you'll see players hit 2-star Aphelios, they'll be in a good spot, and then all of a sudden the comp just falls apart because they don't get 2-star Shen, they don't get 2-star Sejuani, etc.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to tunnel vision on the backline carry that you're going to be putting all of your damage items on. But especially in a composition like Targon, which is so based around being able to heal and being able to sustain, having a durable frontline which is able to do that is almost more important than having that fully stacked Aphelios.
And well, certainly the Samira is doing a very good impression of the Aphelios right now. Imagine, certainly calling back to when she was pre-nerf, being able to just carry her through most of the game. At least in this particular setup, it's working very well indeed. Pushing up to 9 rounds won in a row. When you look at players like Simp Destroyer, who's on 15 HP, there's a huge contrast in current positions.
And you look at Pills as well. Pills did find a 3-star Soraka in that backline now, so at least we'll have a way to keep that front line topped off, right? So that's going to be interesting to see whether or not that's going to be a big enough spike here, right? Because we're talking about the fact he had a lot of gold, was on level 7. Like, he's rolled for this Soraka at level 7. That's kind of indicative of, like, what's been going on here. And now you got to realize here, what is going to be the next step here for Pills, right? Because he's on that Caitlyn. I believe that the final Caitlyn augments are the rolling for days augments, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong, though.
I believe you're correct. I mean, I guess I'm going to make some somewhat wild guesses here that maybe longer term Pills is looking to perhaps turn us into an Azir Bastion board. I mean, Last Whisper is not very... doesn't work terribly well with that concept, but, there isn't that much room to work with.
No, and I think you could just see how heavily they're being contested on the Bastions in terms of their front line, right? I'm going up against a Shen, and I think that's going to be a real issue for them, right? What we were just talking about, you need to have a durable front line in order to support the backline damage carries, and they're going to be able to get a big win up against Noku here, actually, who evidently didn't have enough of that front line.
Yeah, so Noku's board is a little bit different because Noku has not had that big investment into their board just yet, whereas we can see Pills has had that big investment. And I think that what we're going to be seeing here as well from Pills here is we're also going to be seeing him going into the Aphelios line. The double Rage Blade, very common for that line here. Tarkin Heart is going to be great, putting you up to 3. When you find that Aphelios, it's going to put you to 4 as well. And the 2-star Kalista here is a perfect holder because she scales so well with the attack speed. However, it is worth noting that over the course of time here, if you don't find the Aphelios, you're going to have players like Noku here that can go to level 8, roll with 70 gold here to find the same composition as you, the same primary carry. So clock is ticking, tick-tock. Who's going to hit it first?
We are actually, we've got 2 players streaming here that are both going to be wanting to pick up the same units over the next few stages. So that's going to be really interesting. And they're doing it for very, very different health totals, right? Pills here, 43 HP, Noku almost double that. And so maybe you're going to be feeling a little bit more pressured here if you are Pills to build up some win streak because you don't have a lot of health to play with.
We did certainly see it in our previous game that, timing those roll downs is very, very important to make sure you're there at the right time. Yeah, if Pills does feel the pressure, just throws all the money in, maybe just grab up a couple of Aphelios and makes it much, much harder for Noku to get their board online quickly.
Another thing we also just saw right there. Sigma player just hit an Aphelios too, so we have 3 players in the lobby here kind of vying for the same carry. But the big thing that's worth noting here is that Noku can actually just sit on his gold, go to level 9 as well if he wants to. He's just playing more of a legendary board right now, right? But he is going to be rolling a little bit here, and I like the fact that he's not putting the Heimerdinger onto his board, right? Because he wants the extra slot in the shop to find those carries rather than wanting to pick up those upgrades for the Heimerdinger right now.
Several 5 costs on the bench. We have got a good upgrade onto Sejuani. Aurelia's been doing item carrying duties for a while, but I think we said, Medicott, the front line, very, very important indeed. And for Noku, it's just become quite a lot better.
Yeah, significantly. Sejuani, good unit, especially when you're going to be able to stack additional items on top of you. And we saw last time Noku played, right? They got taken down because their front line got burnt through a little bit more easily.
It's worth noting as well, as we saw a little glimpse there from Noku, we are on the Zorn portal, so we've got ourselves a Zorn Rise. Another potential win condition longer term by just stacking up enough gold and in your inventory, he can hit like an absolute truck.
Can we just talk about how the Samira is still, like, actually being a relatively viable carry, even at this point of the game? Of course, like, when you start getting to stage 5, that's really going to fall off, but I think it's incredible that even in her post-nerf state, as long as you get the items on top of her, she can still pump out, like, ridiculous amounts of damage.
Yeah, honestly, I'm considering right now, do we just reforge the spat to give us better direction? Because do we even have any good, like, creative emblems we can make here, right? Because think about it. You can't make a Bastion emblem. You can make a Juggernaut emblem, but you're not really playing a Juggernaut unless you want to play something of the likes of, well, Aether's in the front line. We're not playing Ionia Centric Core, so we don't want to play Ionia Felios. I think that we're kind of just putting ourselves into a corner here just a little bit, right? So, interesting thing to point out here. Also, think we should play the Scion over the Rise for now, just to get Bruiser on the Sejuani, and we're currently floating an Invoker.
Yeah, I mean, like, genuinely, you just think down all the traits that you can actually build with a spatula, and they don't really feel that applicable to this composition, which really, really sucks, having that spatula just on your bench and not being able to do anything with it.
Yeah, I've been of the school of thinking that Spatula as a concept was coming on the way out for a while. Still holding on though. Simp Destroyer, I believe, will be our first elimination in just a second. Yes. So do remember, we are in Lobby 2. It's really about trying to hit the first place here to have a chance to get into one of those top 3 prize spots.
Makes a swap here now to the affiliates, right? There's going to be a big damage spike already, just getting the Deadeye procs in there. But again, we still have a front line that is currently really, really, like, our trait tree right now is not aesthetically pleasing in Middle Cut, right? Like, I think that's
Yeah.
safe to say.
Are you talking about the 3 Bastion and the 3 Invoker?
Yeah, for the first time, I find myself looking at a Taric and going, is that really providing too much value? And apparently it is, because we're going to be swapping out the Cassante instead, just really valuing that extra shielding. And I mean, when you've got the Targon in your back pocket, I can definitely see it. But just goes to show how incredibly obnoxious that unit is. But Gwen is feeling a little bit more obnoxious at the moment.
Oh boy. Yeah, we've noticed, we've got the Aphelios in, but just an Aphelios 1, and as you said, Gwen able to just dance her way into the backline and delete absolutely everything. Yeah, we've seen quite a lot of spending coming in from Noku, and I just don't know if this board's quite got what it takes at the moment.
This is literally every Middlecott game of TFT, by the way. Like, win streak early into, like, mess up late game transition and come, like, 4th. But that's literally what happens every single time.
Middlecott watching this, like, he's just like me for real. That's just that's just what's going on here.
But I mean, like, there's still like significant space to make this board better, and it's not gonna like cost too much, right? Like, let's say you get a 2-star Soraka, okay, that's something, and then obviously you can start moving into getting your forecast onto a high level. There is a strong board here, and you see Noku as they're rolling down. They've got the gold to make it even stronger, but you're on to 38 HP now. It's really starting to get into crunch time in this lobby.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to have to make this spend as well. As we noticed before, the Rise is proportionally, does damage proportionate to how much gold you have in inventory. And a lot of that gold has now been thrown away. A 2-star Rise could be on the horizon, but it's not here yet.
You've just got so many pairs. What, you got Rise pair, you've got like Shen pair. I think we might have rolled past a Cassante at some point as well, so that was an opportunity too. This is just really, really rough, especially with no more Aphelios being picked up, and I think that's why we're seeing all these units getting sold, because fundamentally, if you don't get that Shen 2-star, if you don't get that Aphelios 2-star, you're not going to be able to place any higher in this lobby.
Commiserations to Hydropat letting us know that he had an unfortunate game with uncontested Aphelios, still got 7th place. I think particularly here in this final round of play, our players know that their tournament positioning is very much on the line. Talk to me, Middlecott. Tell me of the pain of this player that you're feeling.
It just
Oh,
hurts
wait
so
a
bad.
second.
Oh, hello. We back? It's not Jova? It's
okay,
not Jova?
No, it's fine. There was never any pain anyway. It was
always going to be alright, like I said. You love that. Completing your roll down with 2 gold left after selling one of your rises to finish off your units. I mean, like, if you don't win now, you're kind of screwed, but at least you've got something that you can hit back with.
Oh boy. The Azir.
Holy moly.
Almost. So wait, I know you were mentioning the the Azir board as being one which I felt like I got it right this time, that this is the one that you particularly like. How does it sort of measure up against so many of these Aphelios boards which we've been seeing coming through today?
So the big thing about that board, right, is a duo carry setup, and you generally speaking tend to have a strong frontliner in Jarvan as well, right? So it's just like this combined triple threat. And the big thing we saw about that board, that King of Hearts, I believe, currently do not have a Lux 2. And that's a big issue for that composition, because you need to have that secondary carry coming through in that Lux. She's such a powerful unit in terms of being able to really just melt front lines and buy space for that Azir, just eliminate carries, right? And also, she slots in very nicely with just the strategist setup, so you have like that massive amount of extra AP coming through from that trade.
We check back in with Wildio, who is, of course, we noted before, the Gwen has been doing a fantastic job at dealing with the backlines. This time, gets rid of the Aphelios in short order, leaving only Ryze as the damage dealer, and that's not going to be good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
No, it's just the risk, right? And you've got nowhere to go from here right now. If you're Noki, you need to be picking up wins, and you haven't been able to do that here. It just feels really, really bad when you go for this composition, especially in a set which is so defined about getting these forecasts down as quickly as possible. It's just a little bit too late, so weren't able to build up a win streak and weren't able to build up a health buffer. You've still got one more in you. You still can win out, but if you lose now, you are gone and you're out of that top 4.
Yeah, and a big thing that's also worth noting about that setup here, Peter, for a second, is the fact that when you know there is, in fact, going to be a Gwen in the lobby that is as strong as the Gwen we just saw there, you need to be on the opposite side of the field of that Gwen 24/7, because when she gets into the axis, she just like destroys those backliners. But if you have the backliners be able to buy time, the Aphelios is able to scale into the fights with being opposite side of the Gwen, it's a completely different fight, and you probably end up either taking a much smaller loss or a win even.
I mean, Wildio's board is looking real scary. It's worth noting that Pills has gone out in the 7th place. It's now scouting around to show us a little bit more of that lobby. Deadly Ghosts and the Invokers proving pretty tough to take down, though. We are in a situation now where we've got 3 players potentially on 1 life. Noku, one of those, and is about to get slapped very hard and out of the lobby.
My word, I just disgusting board to face against.
I hope Noku sticks around and shows us our players well, because again, we are tied to our streamers. So, okay, it looks like we've got lucky this time, so we will actually be able to see a little bit more of what's going on, including Razmeepa, who we haven't been able to see very much of, but of course the Wheater's board of choice working very well here on a substantial win streak.
And you also see another optimization you can make here. Stacking the Nasus and making him into like another carry when you have that, like the remaining Juggernaut set up here is just super strong as well, because he buys so much time for the Lux and for the Azir. Azir is a scaling carry, very often making use of that Rage Blade. So the Nasus being able to fend for himself and do a bunch of damage here, weakening off the targets is such a big deal.
I'm curious to see how you mentioned the ability of Lux to burn through the targets very quickly. In this case, for Sigma player, has managed to keep the main tank away from being focused for Lux for quite a while, allowing his Aphelios to just enough time to scale up, knocks down the Azir very quickly, but it's down to the wire, and Sigma player gets away with it this time, securing a spot in the top 4.
It's incredible stuff, and it's like those Aphelioses which were being contested like so incredibly heavily, able to make it out of there just about in the end.
Oh,
yeah,
boy,
even though,
so,
like, I think that... Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, I just might be what you were going towards anyway. With the Azir board, is this as strong as it's going to get? Are there any more additions to push the power level significantly?
I mean, a lot of the time you find optimization via spats or just going level 9 here. It doesn't have a lot of gold, right? So that's another thing that's worth noting as well. So I think that's something you gotta keep in mind here. Also, Duplicator on the bench here for Sigma player, who's currently Was that for single player? Was for Deadly Ghost? I don't know. But for that's for single player, he has a duplicate on the bench. It means a little bit more power coming for it. Deadly Ghost finally being able to go level 8 here as well, Peter. So interesting stuff happening there. But this is the board, right? Again, if you're looking at a Garen 1, for example, right? That's not necessarily the best thing in the world.
No, not at all. This is definitely not the situation we can afford to have any holes in your game, as Sigma player manages to pick up a couple of 2-stars, including an Aatrox too. So Sigma may be the player on the lowest HP, but this top 4 is still in major flux.
Yeah, I think we're going to be able to see that here with this 6 Zaya composition for Weedle, though. That is a lot of extra damage. That's a lot of healing as well coming out from those high damage units.
Oh my gosh, it's absolutely brutal. Deadly Ghost board is going to evaporate on the front line very quickly, though. I think it's just too many threats coming through. Sigma player holds on, pushes Deadly Ghost down to single digits HP. Wieldio takes a heavy hit as well. Razmeepa, the only player left with a good amount of HP to fall back on.
I'm really annoyed that it's not like the Silver Spoon players right now currently in first place, because like I feel like there are some like banger Silver Spoon things, like, you know. Do you say silver spoon, or do you go like gold spoon in English when it's like they've got like a head start on life because their parents are rich?
No.
It's
It's silver spoon.
Yes.
I was gonna say, like,
what with a silver spoon in your mouth.
Yeah, I think it's the same. It must be the same saying. I didn't even realize it was a saying in other languages, honestly.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be one of those. But I suppose it sounds like one of those things that's dated back to when like people put spoons in babies' mouths. You know, like
it's probably Victorian.
Like today.
In those times.
Those were the days. We grew up with spoons.
No one puts spoons in babies' mouths anymore.
Fellas, is baby nutrition dead? Disgusting. Like, have you seen like the meme with like the young kids? I think the original, like the 3 kids. It is like I think that's like originally revolves around like Supreme. I think that was the first time I saw that meme at least.
I mean, the big issue is I feel like babies today are getting nowhere near the levels of silver in their diet that they should be getting.
Well, we've got the hot take in the toilet. Clip that one. You might win the clip competition. This is why we always have to be very careful that we don't say things that follow us around for the rest of our careers.
That is not medical advice.
No.
I am not a doctor.
No, you take that back. We might have one more round, though. Wieldio level 9 against Razmeepa on level 8. Wieldio's Slayer's board is absolutely cracked, though. I don't know if Razmeepa's got enough left.
It is a big question, right? Like you can see that the six Slayer cab out is so strong as well, right? You kind of look at that in addition, right? There's so much power in there, but look at the Azir just trucking away here. The infinite scaling here off the rage, but you're just completely annihilating. That's going to be a big win here as well. I mean, that's kind of like what I've been saying in terms of the fact of just like how strong this Azir composition is, because you have the 2 carries set up. So even if you get like bad items for the Azir, you can stack the locks until you're able to assemble the items for the Azir, and then you have the multiple frontliners here. So if you end up having some more like carry-based frontliners, like the likes of that Bloodthirster, they can go onto the Nasus. If you have more traditional tank items, put them onto the Jarvan, right? There are so many options in this comp. It's super flexible, works super well with a lot of specials as well. So just a super strong comp to work with.
I do like that Wita came on and we were all like, okay, what's your favorite comp? And I was like, yeah, Viego with like 4 attack range and loads of damage. And Vita was like, yeah, no, my favorite comp is the one that's just gonna win on stream.
I mean, I am a Spike, okay? I am a Spike. I'm not like a 1,000-year-old vampire, but I am a Spike, okay?
Wow.
Oh.
I am currently watching Buffy in case anyone wasn't aware, so yeah. But no.
Oh, I'm a big fan as well. I'm having a quick check to see if we've got any outstanding lobbies. I think we actually might do.
Ooh.
Let's see.
What do you mean, Peter? All the lobbies are outstanding, right? Like everyone's playing here.
Yeah, it's an outstanding lobby. Let's go and see, because this is actually the lobby. If it is still running, this is the lobby that has the most streamers in it. So if there's anybody who's still alive in this lobby, they should have a stream, which is Yurka, Anonymous One, Hydropat, Deadly MV, and Snoop. Let's see. Do we have a game? Do we have something to show you, folks?
Is there teamfight tactics? No, someone has won.
Oh, it literally just ended. Well, shucks.
I think I saw a 3-star Aphelios there, so like maybe that's where all the Aphelioses were going. Like people were trying to buy them in our lobby, and they're just like going into the other ones.
Oh, there we go. So this is, I mean, Middlecott spoiled it, but we didn't want to spoil the revelation of the set 10 mechanic, which is that TFT will become a battle royale where you'll be playing your TFT lobbies with a bunch of other lobbies, and you'll be sharing one universal pool.
Wait, I thought we were becoming a hardcore game. You know, like we just like when you die in TFT,
In
you
the
have to make a
game,
new
you
account.
die in real life.
Die in real life?
It's that? What's is coming down the
What
pipeline?
if we just like make TFT and we just like make it into like a management sim? Then we like have to, and we have to compete about who can create the best life for like a random unit in the game. So I don't know.
Oh,
Does Urgot deserve a good
interesting.
life?
Does
Like
Urgot deserve a good
I got
life?
dating simulator.
Ooh, hold on. No.
Dress up the Urgot?
No.
No, just no, Peter.
I like
Oh,
football. I like Football Manager and Teamfight Tactics. I feel like there's something like you've got to build a squad and you've got to manage like the morale of like your units, and like you've got to make sure that like the positioning, they're okay with the positioning and all that, and they're like linking
Wait,
up
what
together.
about making an esports team management game like ages ago? Am I making that up?
I think it was like a mobile game.
Yeah, I don't know.
exclusively
I think it
China.
was. I think it was one of those things that they'd put in like the Olympic esports event. You know, like one of those kinds of things.
Jeez. Oh, how awful! Everything is awful.
It's incredible. I remember. Did you not see the person who won the archery in that? They weren't actually very good at the game, but they just spent $250,000 on the microtransactions in the game, and so they won the gold medal.
Well, that's a cheap price to be calling yourself an Olympic champion, no?
I don't know. I don't know how much I'd pay for an Olympic gold medal.
As far as I
mean,
can tell,
but
the main benefit you get from getting an Olympic gold medal is you have to go around and give inspiring speeches to people for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I don't know
Like-
if you'd even get that if you were
I
doing a
would-
medal.
you would not-
I have
you
a
would
real
not
question
get-
here.
Yeah.
So you know those like really annoying inspirational like Sigma mail business move Twitter
Yeah.
Instagram accounts. Would that account have more credibility if it was run by an Olympic champion who spent 250K in microtransactions?
I mean, I'd buy it for $1.
Would that be better or worse?
So just to drag us back onto
I-
topic for just even the barest minimum of a second, which we're very far away from. We are just waiting for our final results and tiebreakers to come in, which is why we're talking quite so much nonsense as what's happening right now. I can only blame a lack of sleep or possibly too much elderflower juice. In the mix.
I'm doing this on 10 hours. This is I'm fully aware
Oh,
of
no.
what's going on. I just can't stop myself.
I was giving you an out!
I mean, I woke up like 2 hours ago, I think. maybe.
There we are. That's it. That's our out. That's our out.
Yeah.
Open
Okay.
the hatch
Then
and
I-
escape through it.
Yeah, that I basically just woke up and I'm battling an ear infection. Yes, that's our out here. That's why I'm talking nonsense. Yes.
Okay, right. So with that in mind, I don't know. It's not. That's just me moving on from the topic. It's nothing to do with what's just been said. We've got our final results qualified here, so that means let's see. I'm gonna try and see if we can get a more clear picture of what we've got, because usually with this being a 3-round competition, we end up in quite a messy tiebreaker situation because there's only so much to give. Actually, so results. I believe this is. All right. No, that's right. We don't have a tie at the top place, so that's hopefully will make life a lot less confusing than it would be otherwise. Let me bring this across to the main screen so we can kind of announce everything official like.
Yo.
Whoa! So I won't run through everyone, but you can just let's do a quick enhance. Whoa. Nope, that didn't work. Alright, I can bad at doing keyboard shortcuts. Whoop. So Mad Aloe, Blaze, Kamikaze, Toramon, and Hydropat, who we saw before, did manage to get a good second place. A lot of familiar faces here, but up at the very top, we did see it getting spoiled in chat because unfortunately we didn't get to see Lobby 1, but always blame Jungler going second, and first. So a pretty highly contested tournament today. Gentle folks, not seeing anyone really coming through and making a clean sweep of it. Razmeepa in second place managed to get there with a fourth, and Tanzingo in third, all of whom will be getting prizes from today because of this being a 60th anniversary, going down to third place rather than the second place. I suppose before we get on to the rest of the prizes, any thoughts on the final game we saw on stream?
I think it was a really good illustration of making sure that you need to build your comp in a balanced way. Because I think there are a few losses that we saw right towards the end where we'd have a little bit too much DPS and we didn't have a front line to back it up, and that ended up causing people to drop out of those top places. And whilst we did have a few players really stay at the top of the lobbies today, you can see with how close these competitions are, if you're able to sneak above them, then we could have had a completely different set of people in the top 3.
I'm just gonna...
Yeah,
I did get a query from a player, so I'm just going to double confirm that that's the case. But sorry, Peter, you were going to say.
I was just saying, I agreed with everything Middlecut just said. To be fair, but to be fair,
Well-
Middlecut and I have agreed on most things all throughout the last couple of months.
We've done good.
I mean, we are the best predictors in the business, right? So
True. Peter, you don't know about this. We dominated the NLC predictions.
Oh no, I have
just-
seen this on Twitter.
We smurfed them so hard. It was really, really gross.
it's
my
just
gosh.
so weird, right? Because I'm the host. I'm the host. Smoke everyone. Whoever play by
Bro,
play.
I felt so bad. I was so close to you up until I think it was the semi-final or the game that Verdant lost to Nord.
Yeah.
And after that point, I was just like, no, I can't catch them anymore. Because it's such a big upset, and I completely didn't predict it at all.
All right, we're gonna need to get back on task here. 'cause
Okay.
You two rambunctious commentators need to be tamed,
Yes.
because we've got still plenty of prizes to give out. So we do have our top 3 after tiebreakers. Tazingu getting there above. Lovely Biter, the smallest. So Pills, I can't remember offhand exactly what all of the ones are. Hey Sealy, welcome. Very excited to see you, Middlecut. Of course, we know that you were casting together for the off-stream lobbies for the last GSC competition. So quickly show Middlecut on stream just for CLE's sake. There we go. Wow, what a face. All right, let's get back to the rest of the giveaway. So our top 3 players have all got RP, but it doesn't mean that everybody else is going to miss out necessarily. So we're going to go on to the randomizer wheel.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think it's the class tools ones I'm going to find. There we go.
Do you guys know what the best thing about a wheel is?
Please
worried.
do inform us.
There are no corners to cut.
Wow. Wow.
That was unreal.
He was playing the long game.
The whole time.
We were just
Oh my word.
pawns being played in the game we didn't even
I
realize.
compared to that, I'm a child. That was incredible.
A child with a silver spoon. Right. So everybody who wasn't one of those top 3 has the possibility of winning up to 4. Well, there's 4 different individual randomized prizes. So we're gonna quickly bang through because we've got a lot of different prizes to give out here. Would you, starting with you? I was gonna say CLE because CLE's in the chat and I just say whatever I see. Middlecut, would you mind counting us in
Yes.
3, 2, 1? We're gonna do this rapid fire going between
Okay,
the two of you.
okay.
So give us our first random prize winner.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Who is it going to be? What color is the best one? Apparently, it's Sigma Player. Congratulations, Sigma Player. Let's remove your name. I'll just note you in the chat as well, so don't forget.
Damn, a
Cool,
silver
chat.
spoon and a prize? Some people really are just winning life.
Apparently, it's just the best strategy. Our first random player winner. All right, let's remove that name and roll again. Weeder, would you mind counting us in?
Right. 3, 2, 1, go.
KXI Des. Just to double check. Lots want to know as well. Let's see. Oh, there we are. Yeah. Our second random winner. Let's remove that name. And roll again. Sorry. Metacomp. One more time, please.
3, 2, 1, spin the wheel.
Wah! Oh, is it going to land? On Noku. Congratulations, Noku. Noku, there we go. Is our third. And one more time, Wheaton.
All right. 3, 2, 1. No.
Oh! I'm
Holy
into
moly.
it.
I didn't realize you were multilingual, Peter. Holy moly.
I'm multi-everything. Hydro Pat is our fourth winner. Phew! And, right, so, okay, I'm going to have to look at the list of prizes now. So we've got prizes for our top 3. Those 4 prizes for random ones, which is extended from normal because this is the anniversary tournament. So the prize for the best clip from the stream, I'll have to sort out after having some time to look at that clip. But we've got one more, which is from the players who are playing today and providing a stream. Taking one of those. And if I can, I'm going to try and make it so that it's not someone who's won already, but that's going to maybe be a little bit tricky. Give me a second just to figure that one out. If you folks could keep track of anybody who has one already, and just try and correspond them to this list if you can. So, get rid of everybody in here. Paste the streams, which will probably be a big mess. So it's Squampy, Top Hat Kid, which we used before. Zeno, I won't bother getting rid of that.
Jeez.
Oh, there's a lot of them there. Does it? No, it doesn't put in the blank ones. Alright. So we're going to roll it now. I'm just for the... It's fine. It's fine. What's the problem here? I don't understand.
There are no
oh, yeah.
issues.
We should probably get rid of not this time. Yeah. Not an actual stream.
MVP. Not gonna lie.
Alright, so if it's any one of... I think so. Is Hydropat, Sigma Player, Des, or Noku on this list?
Hydropatus. I
Alright.
can see that name at least.
Noku is as well.
No Coopbot up there.
Alright, so... Whoop,
If
and...
you scroll up.
Oh, yeah. And then of our top 3 in there, I'm completely losing track of what's going on. So
We didn't
top
have a
3
stream
was...
for last lobby, so I don't think so.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, no,
Haha.
I think we're fine. Yeah.
Well inferred. Alright. Would you mind together? That's right, I'm going to ask you
Oh
for
my
coordination. Could you
What-
together count in 3, 2, 1?
Can we count down our countdown? Is that the best way to do it?
We like sequentially
What
count
do
down.
you mean? Like, wait.
Right. Okay.
I was
Right, you
about to say,
ready? So we'll just do 3, 2, 1, and we'll just.
Alright, I'll
Are you
count
ready?
you in. I'll count
You'll
you
count
in.
us in to count us in, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, 3, 2, 1.
3,
2, 1.
1.
Spin the wheel.
Alright, we're amazing this. Also, I remembered to get back on the wheel before rolling it. It's Pills! Congratulations, Pills. Okay, we're almost done.
Apparently, chat cannot see the wheel.
Yes, I fixed that.
Okay.
Barely in time, but I fixed it. Is our streamer winner. Congratulations. Okay, so let's go and quickly take a look at the clips. I don't know how many clips we've got thrown in here or not. Let's see. Tournament clips. I don't see anybody here having posted any tournament clips. Has people posted them anywhere else? So Hydropat, I'm not doing feedback winner anymore because I realized it was motivating people to give extremely non-useful feedback. So instead that's been moved to the tournament clips. So what I'll do instead is I'll leave the last giveaway open for the next 24 hours. So if anyone wants to go back through the VOD, find any moments they remember and make a clip of it, I will announce in 24 hours who did the best one of those clips, and they will also receive an RP prize. Whew. Okay, I think with that in mind, I'm gonna have a quick double check on the screen because it's. Let's see. So we've got our first, second, and third. We've got our 4 random players. Best clip will be sorted out later. Streamer has been done, which was Pills. I think, gentle friends, we have reached the end of the 60th anniversary competition. It always takes a long time to do the prizes. Middlecop, is there anything you'd like the good folks at home to know about pertaining to you or any projects that you are working on?
I have a Twitter account. I occasionally post on it, usually after I'm already 1 hour into a broadcast, but that's at Middlecott is me, as you can see below my my name. If you'd like to follow me, that would be absolutely fantastic. If you don't want to follow me, that's even better because I'm really, really shy.
Yeah, you're super shy. Like all
Amazing.
The random videos, like, it's like,
I am
you're
super
like,
shy.
like, you post like you post a video like every week. It's like I don't know. You're just like a natural born vlogger. And like, yo, hey guys, I just got done with casting an alternate lobby for Rising Legends with the absolute legend CLE. Absolute
True.
blast.
Oh,
He's a
that guy is
beast.
so goated. He is so goated.
I feel like that. But like, so if you want like video updates from Middlecott's life, whether it's him just fucking around on vacation in Italy, yo, we'll go and follow him there. He's a great pleasure to follow on Twitter.
All right. So no, thank you. So I mean, I know you sort of spent your what would have been your shout out time sort of shouting out Middlecott stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to draw attention to, Weeder?
We have the Super Bowl next weekend. Come watch. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yes. Watch them. They're very, very cool.
I believe I'm going to have a quick check and see if it's currently live on the Teamfight Tactics channel. So there's a couple of options for you. So I believe it's WrestleMania qualifiers happening right now. Tomorrow will be Northern Legends qualifier. They are playing in 4v4 teams. So if you're excited to see 4v4, I could definitely recommend that. Where we're going to raid though, since definitely the Teamfight Tactics channel does not need the raid, is going to be the Real Honey Bears channel. So CLE, who's been in here before, and Real Honey Bear, both who work out of the Aegis org in NA, they're currently doing a fundraising stream to help them go to Las Vegas for the North American land. So we're going to drop you folks across there to give them a little bit of love, and perhaps if you're feeling extremely generous, a follow, or maybe even the contents of your wallet. Who knows? Who knows? For now, thank you so much for everybody who's come on here today. I'm going to immediately forget who everybody is because I can't remember my own name at this point. But at least Middlecott and Weetercast are here in front of me. Who else is on today? I'm completely frazzled at this
Deadly
point.
Ghost was on.
Yeah. We had Deadly Ghost, we had Lusher, we had Greyheart, we had Mr. Duck. I made a list of them, so I quickly checked that one to not say the wrong person. But thank you to everybody who's been on today and everybody who's watching. We're going to go check out the Real Honey Bear, or if you prefer to see some Team TFT, check out the Teamfight Tactics main channel where they'll be. Again, the links to Middlecott and Weeta are both in the chat right now, so please do go drop them some follows as well. Maybe find out everything you want to know about Middlecott and more through his many and various vlogs. For now, though, we'll be saying goodbye. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll see you soon. We did it.
We good? We clear?